Radio.
Well, everyone.
What the hell?
We're doing this, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I accidentally hit the wrong button. It is what it is. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, Season 2, Episode 41. The month is just churning along. We're almost halfway through. Halfway there to the end of October. Next week, Mario Wonder comes out. So that's, by the way, so it's like a bunch of other stuff. Sonic Superstars and Spider-Man 2. I think all those three come out in the next week. So that's a lot of games. It's a lot of games. Plus, there's probably a bunch of other stuff I'm not even talking about coming out because who the hell knows? Who the hell knows what's going on? I know Assassin's Creed Mirage recently came out. So yeah, dude, October's been a big month for releases, only to be probably topped by November. That being said, how you guys doing? Welcome to the Nintendo Prime Podcast. Let's welcome all of our guests. Go around the room, say what we've been playing lately and who we are in case people don't know. Like, who the heck is Nishquick Pops? I have no idea. Well, now you like the Nesquik I put in my children's milk?
I got this nickname from someone in high school who got it from Nesquik because Nish is like 4 letters of my first name, and then he just put Quick at the end, and I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Oh,
okay." See, so I wasn't too far off for there being a relation.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't have the C, I just have the K. So yeah, just like Nesquik. Yeah. But yeah, hey guys, I'm Nishquick Pops. I talk about Nintendo and JRPGs on my channel, mostly discussion videos, not as much news, but I talk about like big news stories. I'm debating if I want to make a Zelda video about whatever we talk about today, but I've been playing a lot of games on like all 3 of the systems I have, like PS5, PC, Wii U, Switch, so 4. I've been playing Xenoblade X on and off because I don't think I'll ever complete that game. But more like importantly, I've been trying to complete Final Fantasy 16, which I think I will complete the game by tomorrow. I'm doing like the last couple side quests, and then I'm just gonna do the final boss tomorrow, and I'll be done with Final Fantasy 16, one of the big major releases of 2023, and then on to Sea of Stars after that. Continuing Sea of Stars, I took a massive break on that game. Yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Still haven't started to see a Stars. It's just sitting there.
Yeah. It's really, it's not what I thought it would be like, but I'll say this probably has my favorite OST of all of this year. Like the OST is amazing. It's really, really good.
That'll probably get me into it.
Yeah. The gameplay is good. It reminds me of Mario and Luigi, like the time-based like button prompts. That's really fun. The story and narrative is good, but it's not as like when they kept saying Chrono Trigger inspired, I kind of got my hopes a little too high. But it's still good. It's not like not good or anything, but it's not like Chrono Trigger. And what I've seen of the other like similar Chrono Trigger inspired game, Chained Echoes, I think that is a little more plot and story driven. But the OST in this game is fantastic. And my favorite video game composer is a guest composer on it, Yasunori Mitsuda. So I love it so much because of that as well. But he's only in like a handful of songs, but still a really awesome game. Yeah.
All right. Jake Randall, what have you been playing lately, bud?
I've pretty much only been playing for the last week, and I've been playing a lot of it. Pokemon Heart Gold on my
Oh,
Let's go.
3DS.
classic. Yes.
Best Pokemon game.
I just like
that is up
I
there.
need
Yes.
to play Miles Morales before Spider-Man 2 comes out,
Mm,
and I just can't pull myself away. And like
Yeah.
when I play Pokemon games, I don't know how much everyone knows about IV training and EV training.
Yeah.
I do it with my starting team, which if you do it
Yeah.
before you get to the end game, takes forever. It takes like 8 hours to do like one
Do you have a
Pokemon. 'Cause you have
Pokerus
to knock out
Pokemon?
252 for one stat, and then knock out 252 other Pokemon for the second stat. But you have to make sure you're knocking out the right Pokemon, or it's going to affect another stat. So you have to run from hundreds of battles as well to make sure you're getting the right ones. Because there's not good early game grinding locations for the right stat. But I'm obsessed with it. Like I get so into it. It's like, I don't know. I love it. I've almost got my whole team trained now, and I do progress through the story as I train. But I got to get at least like 2 ready to go at the very beginning, and then I go through. So I've got like 4 badges right now. Obviously, you can get 16 badges in that game. But yeah, I'm Nishquick. What was your?
Are you using the items and the Pokerus to speed things up with EV
Uh, no. So for the first few, I didn't use any items, and then you can trade for a Machop when you get to Goldenrod, where the 3rd badge is,
Yeah.
and then that Machop is holding a Macho Brace, so that cuts the training
Okay.
time in half. You can't get the power items until you do the battle tower thing.
Yeah. When I used to EV train, like in I don't know, middle school, like way back, I had a Pokerus Pokemon, so I gave Pokerus to all my Pokemon.
Yep.
And that boosts EVs. And then I had those Macho Braces. So
It's the power, like it's the power item. So it's like the power anklet, power wrist, like yeah.
Yeah,
And those add 4.
Okay.
Macho Brace doubles it, but the most
okay.
a Pokemon can have is 3 EVs gives you, but in early game they all have 1. So the Macho Brace doubles it, so it gives you 2. But the power items add 4, so it gives you
And then
5.
there's like the energy drinks, like
really
the
quick.
vitamin and the elixir and stuff that can boost
Yeah,
EVs
the
as well,
vitamins
yeah.
add 10 EVs each. We're nerding out way too hard on Pokemon right now, but I love it. I love it, bro.
I understand everything you guys are talking about. I used to compete.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I compete a lot. I compete a lot too, so that's awesome.
Gen
Yeah,
4 and
I-
5
on
meta
this.
was fun.
I used to go to regionals. I've been to nationals a few times.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Nice.
Yeah. I didn't actually participate in worlds, but like I've done the last chance qualifier a couple times, and I've gone to like the penultimate or final round, and then I'll miss a fire blast and get hacked. That's usually what happens. But
Why are you running Fire Blast? All right, let's another.
all right, so I'm referring
time.
to the era, so I'm kind of dating myself. Remember Pokemon X and Y?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm a Charizard fan, so I was like, listen, I know Kangaskhan is better, but I'm gonna try and win with Charizard. So
Okay.
actually, I think it was
Charizard
Overheat.
Y?
So
was it?
Overheat would OHKO
Yeah.
Mega Kangaskhan, but if you missed, you die, you lose. So, or if you lose a speed tie, you lose. So, I missed an Overheat.
I remember
No,
Charizard
you
Y
gotta
was
just
OP
run
'cause of
solar
drought.
power Charizard in the sun, holding a life orb, and just run
Yeah.
flamethrower. 100% accuracy.
Oh well, the
baby.
thing is, for Sword and Shield, I ran Blast Burn because you could Dynamax.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's 100%
Yes.
accurate. With,
Oh,
yeah.
it's so good. So good. Solar
I
powered,
miss the
sun
weather
powered,
teams of
orb
Gen
powered
5.
Blast Burn. Oh
Yeah.
god, so good.
Weather,
then Wildfire
Sandstorm
Gen
and
what
Rain.
is
Gen
going
5.
on?
Yeah.
There's like 3% of the audience right now that is loving this.
Yeah.
I actually tried out a strategy. I forget the name. There's the rock Pokemon that has like this ability that ups the offense of your ally. Which it looks like Stonehenge.
Oh.
Stonejourner.
Yes, I tried out Stonejourner with Charizard. So you set the sun first with Ninetales or Torkoal, switch into Stonejourner to up his offense even more, and just
No,
nuke.
Stonejourner ups his defense.
Is that what it did?
It's
isn't that a friend guard?
Friend guard. That's what Stonejourner has.
Well, no, he has that's Clefairy, right? Or Cleffa.
Harry has it as well.
Stonejourner, I thought it had. There was an ability I thought it improved offense. Power Spot. Yeah, it is. It's like it spots you.
Wait, Stonejourner has that?
Stone Journal has Power Spot.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually, I was wrong about 20%. It's 30%. I have to Google it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Friend
Yeah, I
Guard,
didn't
though.
either.
Friend Guard, follow me. Yeah. All right, we should stop.
And
Can't talk about a
and
Nintendo
holding
game on the
Eevee
Nintendo
light.
podcast.
Hand it-
God
of course.
forbid.
All right, sorry. What are you been
All
playing,
right.
Andre? Oh wait, you said you went second. All right.
So
I know,
Three Star, what you been
hadn't
playing lately?
Sea of Stars. That's what you said.
Well, I think this is actually a good follow-up to discussing Pokemon because I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's
So
go. What year is it?
Right, it's a 2023. In case you didn't know, but
Oh, thank
so like I entered like a little bit of like I play with my brother and my friend, right? So we each got a structured deck, and we made an agreement to not like get extra cards. We just play. We got like the structured deck each 3 times. This is the card game, right? But it'll become relevant in a moment. And so we are just kind of like trying to make the best deck possible with the cards we have. And then we're gonna have a little tournament, and based off how well we do in the tournament, we'll decide how many cards you can add to your deck afterwards to kind of continue to build on them. But anyways, so I've been getting more into Yu-Gi-Oh lately, to kind of researching cards and stuff. And then yesterday, or was the day before, I downloaded Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel. So it's kind of like you can play the card game for free and like earn more cards and play online and stuff. On Switch, on any platform, actually. It's pretty cool. So
Nice.
I started playing outside of still Tears of the Kingdom. So
Awesome.
it is fun. It's fun if you like Yu-Gi-Oh. Man, I'm so much of a nerd that I out-nerded the nerds. Yeesh.
I'm just gonna wait till Nate starts talking and say something.
Dumbfounded at how nerdy I am.
Oh, quick reminder that if you have any questions, chat, you can actually submit them to the show with a super chat, and we'll go over all of them at the end of the show.
So
What
I
have you been
actually
playing, Nate?
also have played Dungeons and Dragons before. Only a couple times though. I haven't like done it a lot. I want to play it more though. I've never played Quidditch though, so I'm not full nerd.
Well,
I'm gonna shut up.
Oh my god.
after that, I'm not sure I have anything to add other than,
Dude, you sound like the button.
dude, I sound like what I sound like. This is my real voice. I use a voice changer.
you sound like the
normally.
Manon in Xenoblade X.
Wait,
Andres, you know what
in
I'm
that
talking
voice,
about.
can
Don't
you-
mess with me.
Nate, in that voice, ask Andres if he's attracted to me.
Hey, Andres, are you attracted to Jake?
Oh, he looks embarrassed. Let's not put him on the
that's a
spot like that.
That's a yes. Oh, you don't even got to answer. The face says it all.
I don't want to say no because that would be hurt his feelings.
No,
Anyway,
okay. That wouldn't hurt my
so what
would
have I
actually
been
make me
playing lately?
I already
Here's the
told you
thing.
what I've been playing lately.
No, what have
Yu-Gi-Oh.
I been playing lately? What are we?
Oh, I
who
can't
brought up
hear you. I can't hear Snap because you
We
sound
did
like a
bring up you. Not everything's about you, Andres.
Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh.
This was a podcast record. I stopped talking for 15 minutes. It's my turn now. I played nothing. Moving on.
I'm fair.
Literally played. No, I played one game of Madden, and that doesn't even count as a game.
You
so.
sound much better now.
Kind of nasally now. I don't know if I like it.
I thought you sounded like a little bitch before.
No.
Hey, hey, hey. You
Oh
don't
my
make
God,
fun of me.
Jesus.
I am simply the best.
All right,
You don't
now
know.
you're intimidating me.
Just simply the
Please,
best.
please.
You don't even want to know. This is
Shay,
like
I'm gonna bend you over a
alternate
barrel and show you the
personality.
50 States.
Yeah, first you gotta eat that pepperoni off my nips, mother.
All right, I had to shut him up. He's about to go off a little too early in the podcast. We dropping F-bombs there. Simply the best.
I did drop a
So
B1 already, so you know.
yeah, but that's not the same. That's literally that's cable access. You can say that on cable.
Oh,
yeah, so-
bastard. You can say bastard.
You
right?
can say bastard. You can say ass, and you can say bitch. Like those are like
and
the,
dingus, but that's not a curse word.
It's not even a curse word. Anyways, topic one. This is just sort of a checking in because you know what? We're a smidge over a week away from Mario Wonder coming out. Sort of weird because we have a podcast on the 19th, which is like you could play the game like the night of the 19th, but also we're not going to be. We're actually going to do an impressions podcast where we're actually playing it together the following week. But which is cool because we've never actually done that. That's something that because we usually don't when we do impressions on games on the podcast, it seems to always be single player games like Zelda, not multiplayer games or multiplayer capable games. But as Andres is not dipping. See, he's even worse. He takes the headphones off and walks away. I at least was aware there was talking going on because I could hear some gobbledygook in the background about Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. Anyways, Mario Wonder. So how are we feeling right now?
Earlier.
Like, there's been so much marketing for this game, right? So much marketing. How are we feeling about Mario Wonder right now? About a week and a half out.
Quick question first. And just quick, you can take it. I'm just wondering, did anyone play the demo?
No, I did not. I know people who have played the demo. I've talked to some people who have.
I do not have a driver's license at the
So
moment.
chat, you can go to any Target and play it now if you want the demo.
It's at Target, some GameStop, some Best Buys.
Yeah, they've opened it up to Best Buy and another retailer. Don't remember if it was Walmart or something, but yeah, Target and Best Buy have it. It's looking pretty good. It's looking good with the demo. Previews have come out too as well, I think. Like Nintendo Life was saying it is like the most 3D Mario a 2D Mario game has felt, supposedly. I don't know what they mean by that.
Yeah, they had the final previews drop this week, which were I couldn't even find a negative one. They were all just stupidly glowing.
I think this could be like a legit
so much
game
better than I could have ever thought, and I was hyped for it already.
Yeah,
I brought Ruby over because a few people were asking.
Yeah, there was some demand in the chat. I understand. Ruby's more important than me. It's cool.
I will say
we'll add a Ruby camera some stream. It's cool. We'll do it.
It'd be funny.
I'll say this real quick about Mario Wonder. This might be blasphemous, sacrilege, whatever. I don't think I'll play it at launch, but I'll play it eventually.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I know.
I
exactly.
might not either, because Spider-Man 2, man.
Dude, yeah,
Get
Spider-Man.
out of here.
I gotta Spider-Man.
Well, Jake is saying
like
the first time he plays
like,
Mario
you
Wonder
guys
is
can't see
together
it,
on the
but, like,
show.
I have a Spider-Man poster.
I think that'd be
I have a
fun.
Spider-Man Funko over there. Like Spider-Man is
the day after it
like
comes out.
I love Spider-Man
or before.
but like I don't know when I'll get a chance to play Mario Wonder because like this year itself is just packed with games, but Spider-Man takes priority.
Mario Wonder
Just this
is
one.
the game I'm waiting for.
Well, here's the thing: a game like Mario Wonder, based on the reviews I'm reading, like you guys have said some stuff already. I'm also hearing it's like gives people the same feel that were around when Super Mario World came out for the Super
That's
Nintendo.
what I felt.
And that
the
was
first time I
huge.
saw it.
A game
Of
like that is
massive.
like a palate cleanser, and you can play that while you're playing another game.
Yeah.
Like just like play a level every night. You know what I mean? Like before you start your regular gaming session, or maybe at the end. And I do that with 2D Mario games already, especially using like Nintendo Switch Online, like going back to some of those, like literally Super Mario World or you know the original trilogy. So and I did that with like the DS, like New Super Mario Brothers. So it's a really good game to play while you're still tackling your backlog and playing other games, especially like Quick. You're playing all those RPGs.
Yeah.
It's really a good type of game to break those up.
Yeah, especially handheld on Switch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to vehemently disagree. I would say that 2D Mario has become that because 2D Mario hasn't been good since Super Mario World.
But I'm
when you have one that's
Super Mario World.
Yeah, but you're talking about Super Mario World today.
Super Mario World.
You're talking about the Super Mario World today. You're not talking about it back in the day. That was the only game you played back then.
Super Mario World back in the day was like the Mario Odyssey of that time.
You can play any Mario game all at once, but I like to use them as palate cleansers, and
that's fine.
No, that makes sense.
That's fine. I think you're wrong. That's okay.
Bro,
You
I'm
can do
gonna
what
play
you
Mario
want.
Wonder
What do you mean I'm wrong? That's
straight.
how I like to play them. I'm not saying that's it's not. I'm not stating that.
Can I finish my point?
Yes,
I'll finish my point. You're gonna disagree, and that's totally fine because it's about your personal
wait,
way.
Hold on. Before you finish your point, it's not that I disagree. I agree that you like to play them like that, and I like to play them like the way I like to play them. That's
I
all
just
I'm
hate
saying.
your opinions.
That's okay. No, what I was trying to say is when a special Mario game comes along, you know it when you play it and you set everything down to finish it. That's what happens. And 2D Mario hasn't been that in a long time. pretty much since Mario 64 came out, because a lot of the focus of all the creativity went towards the 3D Mario games. You know, like you might play the side-scrolling Mario games as a palate cleanser. Would you play Mario Odyssey as a palate cleanser, or did you play it?
I would play a 3D Mario as a palate cleanser if it had courses, if it had that format of 5-minute courses.
So how about 3D World
or 10-minute course? Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Mario
Right.
Galaxy.
Galaxy is a
that did suck
little
being more.
like each of those star levels
it is-
are
it-
a little bit
It is
longer.
Of course.
You're not wrong. The
Yeah.
thing about Galaxy though is that I was obsessed with like 100. I'm always, whenever I play it, I have to 100% it. So that makes me replay the courses over and over to like get stuff perfect when it's on the hard.
I do that for every Mario game.
Yeah.
There's just something wrong with me.
2D Marios have those
Yeah.
as well with the star coins and the Yoshi coins as well. But
I need
yeah.
to get all the blue.
I see where you're coming
The fact that the producer of the game, who's been making Mario since the very beginning, was like, I can't get the last badge. I'm like, oh hell yeah,
That's
dude! I got 100% this. Like how I like, dude. You've been you literally helped create every Mario game that's ever existed. What, you can't get the last badge? Let's go. Like I don't think it's going to be like the hardest Mario game ever, but I do think they're bringing some challenge to it, and I think it's one of those. I understand the quick pickup and play sessions. I have games that I do that with, but the problem that comes when yeah, I said do. The problem what happens is when a game comes along that I would normally use as a palate cleanser, like the whole new Super Mario Bros. Series, I used as a palate cleanser. I did the same thing with 3D Land and 3D World. It was just palate cleansers. I played in between playing other games I was enjoying to a greater degree, but just sometimes needed a break, so I'd switch. But when I played World back in the day, that was the last time a side-scrolling Mario game demanded my attention. You completed one stage, you couldn't wait to play the next one. You didn't want to go play anything else. You wanted to go to that next stage because it was that well, you like the fun was that just there. You couldn't help it. And then you find out there's all these things you can collect and all these alternate routes, and then you're like, oh shit, I got to go back and figure out all of that shit and get the flutes and do all that crazy stuff back in like that was Super Mario Bros. 3. So it was like two games in a row that did that for me. And then obviously side-scrolling Mario sort of fell off. But with this game, and again, here's the thing: when I say Jake's wrong, he's not wrong for himself. You're never wrong for yourself. You play games how you play games. Yeah. I was just disagreeing with like being a palate cleanser. This is a big if this game slaps the way World did for me back in the day. Like, dude, I can't play anything else. Like, I will literally finish this before I start Spider-Man. And what's funny is neither one of them are going to be super long games.
Yeah.
If I was at 20 hours to beat each of them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to platinum Spider-Man, which I think is more 40 plus, but
reviewers are saying 25, 26.
Yeah.
But that's if you're already really good at
40
it.
for a lot of reviewers, and I actually know someone that has it too. But
okay.
Jake, which game are you playing first?
Regardless, I see what you're saying, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
When I initially made that statement, I was, it was in context. I was talking to Nish Quick about the problem of
just let me be the dick. It's okay. Let me be a dick.
No. Let me finish my point.
I'm a dick. I can't let you finish.
When there's so many games out that are that quality that you want to play, and you have to pick and choose. Sometimes you can fit more in by using one of them as a palate cleanser, even though it's worth it on its own. And all of the games that are coming out, that's a good one to use for that, if that makes sense. Yeah. And that's a way you can play it while you're still playing Spider-Man 2 or a big RPG or whatever. That's what I meant, I guess.
Sonic Superstars will probably be that game for me when I'm playing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, I'll probably buy it after because I have Spider-Man and Mario Odyssey pre-ordered for day one, so I'll have those. But I know
Mario
I'm gonna do
Odyssey
Mario
pre-order for day one.
I'm also a Nintendo YouTuber, so I sort of have to focus on Mario anyways. But
that makes sense. Yeah.
But here's the thing: I covered news. Like I don't make a lot of discussion topics, so actually I don't technically have to play it at all. But I want to, and I really want to play Spider-Man as well. But this is like every time they market this game, because the marketing's been going insane. They are marketing this game amazingly well. They're treating it like it is the next really big Mario game. But then all the previews come out, and you're hearing words tossed around like Game of the Year contender by the people reviewing the games. right now that are playing it right now to review. In their previews, they're like, "This is a game of the year contender," and you're just like, "What does that even mean?" At this point, how many amazing games have come out this year, and we're talking about a side-scrolling Mario game possibly being one of the best.
What do you think the Metacritic score is going to be if you guys had to?
I think it'll be
place it?
higher than Spider-Man.
Okay. I think it'll be in like I think it'll break 90. I think it'll be a low.
I think it'll
90.
break 90 as well. And I
think it'll be like
Spider-Man-
91, 92 ish.
I think Spider-Man's going to be like 90, maybe 91.
Okay.
That would be the
So,
highest rated yet. The previous
this
two
came
didn't
up
break 90.
on my
Yes.
podcast.
And I think it will be the highest rated for sure.
I was
Highest
thinking
rated-
it might hit 90 or 89. I don't know. I don't have the game.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to know.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
if
agree.
Spider-Man hits
We're
90,
close,
will
like, right
that
there.
be the first?
By the way, this is
No,
my
no,
brother's
God of
cat.
War
This is
Ragnarok
not
hit
Ricky.
90.
I'm taking care of my
Yeah.
brother's cat. This is
God of
Tina.
War Ragnarok
Oh,
was like a
well.
93, wasn't it? Or 95?
94, yeah.
Oh,
I can't
I was gonna
remember.
say, will
Yeah.
it be the first
Nephew.
PS5 like exclusive to hit 90? No, it'll be the first PS5 exclusive
Play with your cousin.
because God of War wasn't PS5 exclusive. It was
Yeah,
on
Final
PS4.
Fantasy 16 hit 88.
Yeah.
So
87, I think it dropped to
oh,
87.
it dropped down to point. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry to people who think it's going to win Game of the Year. It's probably not.
So
It'll
Baldur's
be
Gate 3 is
nominated, but
gonna
it's
win Game of the
not.
Year.
It's not winning Game
I'm
of
just
the
gonna
Year.
say
be
that-
nominated.
that I predicted when I was
Oh,
asked
we
like
talked
a week
about
or
this
so
on here,
ago. That we were talking about, right? I think I predicted a 91. But the thing is, Brandon and I were looking at other 2D games
Yeah.
and how they rated,
Yeah.
right? Like if Mario Wonder hits a 91, it's gonna be. I think it'll only be like have a lesser score than Hades, as far as 2D
Mhm.
games go on Metacritic. Like even Metroid Dread.
Is it 88?
What did Celeste get again? I
Which-
listened to
wait,
you
and
guys.
God-
on
God of
Podcast.
War
Celeste is
Ragnarok's
also
up there.
PS5 exclusive, right? Oh no, it is on PS4.
Yeah, God of War is on PS4.
Celeste is up there, but-
Spider-Man could be the highest rated exclusive PlayStation 5 game so far. Because Returnal, if I remember correctly, didn't break 90. It was a high 80 game, I think.
All right, so I
Demon
don't know.
Souls was
So
92.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
really
score wise,
I
I think
stand corrected.
maybe I'm a little homerish on this. The way they're talking about it, I feel like this is going to be like a 93.
Okay.
on
I could
Metacritic.
see that for sure. Yeah, I
Just
could.
to go
I could see
over-
maybe even higher.
the
Like,
highest
people
rated
are
game.
talking more
Talking
glowing.
about it.
Like they're
I could
talking
see
more
like
glowingly
94,
about this than they
95.
did 3D World back in the day, and that's a 93.
So
I'm
here's
like,
the
Oh.
top Metacritic scores for Nintendo Switch. Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild are at 97. Then there's this House of something.
Oh,
Fate of
that, yeah.
Morgana,
Yeah.
96. Tears of the Kingdom 96. Tetris Effect 94. Persona. It's not showing me the title, but I think it's the
Persona
Royal
5 Royal.
version, right? The deluxe edition. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
at a 94. Prime Remastered at a 94. That's number 7. Smash Ultimate apparently is at a 93. Undertale, that's a 2D game. That's at number 9. Hades is that number 10. Ori. So Undertale, Hades, Ori are all 2D games, and they're in the top 11. Celeste is actually top 15 at 92.
Okay.
So, if Mario Wonder,
I think it'll be a better game than Ori and Celeste. I don't know.
Great games.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah, and Celeste.
that's
Game
like
of
some
the
top
Year.
tier shit.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well, the
Celeste
thing-
was a game of the year nominee, but
Listen,
I don't know. The competition is a lot.
It's tough.
It's really tough this year,
It's tough.
especially with
Yeah.
like Armored Core, Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
don't
what's
know.
crazy is that with all the incredible games coming out this year, it's weird that there's really no competition for Game of the Year. Like it's Baldur's Gate, and I bet none of us have even played it, and
No,
we
yeah.
still know that's
What?
it.
Here we
I-
go.
I
really?
want.
He's being serious. I hope
I,
you're being
yeah, no,
serious.
I am being serious.
I think Baldur's Gate.
This
You
is
don't think
awesome.
Tears of the Kingdom stands a chance?
No,
They're both 96.
I was telling Andres, I
Wait,
was
hold
telling
on,
you
hold
like
on.
Baldur's Gate
Listen.
it's
I'm not saying it's not a good
making
game,
moves.
but you're gonna say it's not even a competition.
I think there is a
I mean
competition.
it's a competition, but I don't think it's a close competition.
Yeah.
Why?
So
Why?
here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have our Game of the Year betting special, and we already know what he's picking. So for winner.
Oh boy.
But why? Is I just want to know why. Why?
Can I answer that, or are we talking about it later, Nate?
You can answer it.
All right. Well, again, I haven't played it, and I 100% completed Tears of the Kingdom minus the Korak seeds. So for my personal taste, it would be Tears of the Kingdom, obviously. But just the discourse, the popularity, and the sheer scope of the game. Like Tears of the Kingdom is a huge game, massive in scope, but it's not like 100% completing Tears of the Kingdom isn't even as long as the cutscenes in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
And
Baldur's Gate has a lot of detail in its dialogue and its choices and its customization.
it's
And the
just
thing
too
is,
rich.
it
It's
is.
too deep.
I don't think it's like.
And it's good though. It's not just
Yeah.
like cutscenes on cutscenes.
The thing
It's
is,
not like big for the
Tears of the
sake of
Kingdom
being
has like the
big.
open world
It's all
content.
quality.
Yeah,
It's like a game that's like I'd rather play a 10-hour game that's packed with like goodness than like a 50-hour, Ubisoft Assassin's Creed. But this is like that 100 plus hours where every hour is good. If you watch videos and do reviews, which I've done a little bit of, and that's why I really think that I think it's got it locked, and I don't think Spider-Man 2 has a chance.
The discourse on Baldur's Gate 3,
Spider-Man
like the
doesn't have a
positive
chance.
discourse on Baldur's Gate 3 is reminding me of some of what people were saying about Breath of the Wild. People were like, "Oh, I never could get into open world games. I never could play a game like this, but Breath of the Wild has me hooked."
Yeah,
I'm hearing
and
a
the
lot of
thing
people say that about
Tears of the
Baldur's Gate.
Kingdom it's
Yeah.
amazing, but it's already been done. It's
Yeah.
not, and you had this point the other week, Andres, is Breath of the Wild was brand new. It broke all the molds. Tears of the Kingdom doesn't have that. Baldur's Gate 3 does, and that was a great point this week. That's probably why.
Have you played the
it has
prior
that.
Baldur's Gate games at all?
A little bit. I never beat them.
So the presumption was
them on
made that
Switch,
I haven't played
actually.
BG3. I'm actually about 5 hours in, which is nothing in that game.
Right.
But it just feels very much like the old games so far. It's just we haven't had a Baldur's Gate game. And when did 2 come out? What's it been, 20 years? So it's been forever.
So does
we had a
Baldur's
game
Gate
like
3
this.
feel more like Baldur's Gate 2 compared to how Tears of the Kingdom feels more like
It
Breath
feels
of the Wild?
it feels a lot like the rest of the Baldur's Gate series. It fits right in with what that series has always been. We just don't get them very often.
Yeah.
Hey, Nate.
But again, this is me with like a very early build, very early in the game, not deep in. I heard that like the first act might be the best act. The third act of the game actually is causing people some issues. But
Hey,
I don't know how many reviewers even got to
Stop
the third
looking
act.
over here. Or
Hey, Nate.
What?
You stepped away for a moment before we
Yeah.
went live earlier, and
Yeah.
Nishquick and Jake and I were talking, and we were they were talking about taking teams on a particular subject, and I was like, "There's no way Nate and I are gonna be on the same side. That never happens." But you know what? Tonight we're on the same side.
Cheers, buddy. Wait, you got water. Hold on. I grab my water. Here we go.
This is actually aguardiente.
I don't even know what that is. I don't speak that language.
I'm drinking.
I'm kidding.
I'm drinking
kidding, it's water.
Nesquik.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Can't tell.
no, no. Here's the thing.
It does kind of
I-
match you.
I'm not far enough in the Baldur's Gate 3 to give any sort of final determinations, and it's absolutely everything I've wanted it to be as a fan of the series so far. And I hopefully will get enough hours in where I complete the main campaign. At least I don't think I'm going to 100% it, but there's just so much to do. But it's interesting when this debate happens because talk about like, oh, Baldur's Gate 3 was such a big thing. Baldur's Gate 3 was such a this, it was such a that. And it was, sure, twice because it came out on PC first and then PlayStation. But also, I look at the grander scope of everything. Like both games are rated 96. Baldur's Gate 3 really isn't that shocking compared to the rest of the Baldur's Gate series. It's only shocking if you've never played Baldur's Gate before. It's not like super revolutionary. It's just perfecting what they were already doing, which is what Tears of the Kingdom did. The difference is 6 years versus 20. It's going to feel a lot fresher when you haven't had this experience in so long. That's just my experience so far. By the way, I have no complaints about Baldur's Gate. It's like a perfect game so far, 5 hours in. And this is just the build I have going right now. You can replay and do different builds and different classes and have
I
a whole
know
bunch of
someone
fun.
who's on their third playthrough of the game.
Yeah,
already.
So like, I'm not at all insulting the game, but like there was brought up like the momentum of it and the popularity. Baldur's Gate 3 is no longer trending, and Tears of the Kingdom is still trending every week.
So
Baldur's
let me
Gate
ask
3
you one
doesn't
question.
pop up on TikTok.
Let me ask you
Tears of
one
the
question.
Kingdom clips keep popping up on TikTok.
So, do you think that Tears of the Kingdom will beat Baldur's Gate 3 in Game of the Year voting?
Yes.
What are we betting?
Oh,
And what do you want to bet?
I'm betting my sock.
The loser should have to do something on the podcast. I don't know what.
Well, that's fine. That's not what you want to bet.
Let's have. All right. I want to see a super chat, $1 for a suggestion. And if you have
Well,
a really
it's $2
good
for you
suggestion,
to type.
oh, it's $2 for you to type. If
Yeah,
you have
it's
a really
$2
good
to type,
suggestion, you don't have to super chat, but we might miss it. But
Oh man,
I wanna
Nazi
see if the
suggestion's
chat-
crazy. Loser has to wear a flannel. Oh,
Yeah, Nats is just
uh,
saying that because he likes men in flannels. Don't listen to him. We
Oh,
don't need to
that's
provide. We don't need to
my
provide
fall
him
and winter
more.
attire.
all the time.
And I wear flannels like every other day, so he's
Oh.
just yeah.
that's tough. I don't know. You should bet. You should make
But,
a bet then. Got a lot
Oh,
of
Concerning-
I know.
yeah.
If you win, Nate, I'll wear a Bucks jersey on the podcast.
You even
Or
have
t-shirt.
one?
A T-shirt. We'll order, a cheap T-shirt off Amazon or whatever.
You're gonna
And,
maybe wear a Celtics one?
Yes.
God damn it.
Or maybe you
and no
put-
one
you
I'll
put
look,
it in
it'll
your
be on a
header-
show when they're playing each other, and I'll be
you
like, God
put
damn
it. You
it.
put in your head in your
November
header
or
something.
something.
We
they
have
play
an
each other.
agreement, sir?
Oh God, fine. Timu better come through for me. I need my
go.
Timu Boston Celtics shirt.
I agree
But
with
wow.
you, Jake, though, about it. It's a two-way race between Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate, I think.
Well, no. Jake doesn't think it's
yeah.
a race.
Yeah,
no,
he doesn't
like,
really
I think
a
it's
race.
down to
You
those
think
listening
it's Baldur's
for-
Gate? Gap.
So I just
Tears
want
of
to
the
make it clear
Kingdom.
what we're arguing here. I'm not even trying to say yet that Tears of the Kingdom will or not win. Like that is it's. But all I'm saying is that it's a debate. Jake is saying it's not even a debate. Am I correct?
With the
I'm
game he
saying-
hasn't played.
Basically, but one distinction I want to make is that I'm saying that
It's not
already
your
concluded.
feelings on it. It's just what people are going to say.
Right. I'm saying it's concluded that Baldur's Gate 3 will win. I'm not saying there isn't arguments for Tears of the Kingdom or that it will get votes. I'm not saying it won't get votes. And I'm also saying that it would get my vote if I had one. But you're right. I do feel that it's already
Yeah.
we can safely say
Foregone conclusion.
In my
Do you
Well,
opinion.
what
have-
I meant to say
Yes.
was I agree with
That is
you.
Baldur's
My
Gate.
game of the year is Tears of the Kingdom, but I think it'll go to Baldur's Gate. And my
Okay,
vote
so-
will
so
go for Tears of the
But
Kingdom.
what I'm saying is I feel like I already know it's going to Baldur's Gate. Like I don't.
I
I am. It is closer
acknowledge
to what they're
as a
saying.
hardcore Nintendo and Zelda fan who loves Tears of the Kingdom, and yes, Tears of the Kingdom is my game of the year. It's not really a debate. Mario Wonder, I mean, maybe Mario Wonder, but I doubt that.
I do feel
yeah.
there's a lot of bias on this podcast because you guys consume so much Nintendo.
Hold on, before you, I just want to say something. Okay, Tears of the Kingdom has very comparable views to Baldur's Gate, and if I'm not mistaken, Tears of the Kingdom actually has a larger sample size, which I don't think a lot of people really factor into it. A larger sample size actually bodes a lot better for the score because it's you're opening yourself up more for aberrations and outliers, which can drag down the score. So I
Just
think
for
that should
review
really
scores,
be
you
taken
mean?
into consideration.
Okay.
Correct, right? 150 critical reviews versus 100 having the same number.
Yeah.
The one with 150 that says a lot more.
Yeah.
Because that's 50 more opportunities for someone to give the game a 0 through 6 or
Yeah.
7, and that will drag down the numbers a lot. It's way more weighted, right? Because if you're above average in Tears of the Kingdom or Baldur's Gate reviews, you're gonna give the game a 10, right? But if you're below average, you can give it anything between a 0 and an 8, and you will drag down the score. So it's just more weighted in that way. That's why Metacritic scores in general, like if you see a 93, that's not like just a 93, right? Like because there will be sites that'll give it a 95, a 98, an 89. Like it varies.
Yeah,
So
but
I
it's not.
just want to
It's
put
not
that out there.
game that sold the most. It's game of the year.
I
It's
know,
what's
but what
the
I'm
best
trying
game,
to
not the
tell
most
you,
played game.
I understand. But if there are more critics that have reviewed Tears of the Kingdom than Baldur's Gate, and they have basically the same score, even though yes, Baldur's Gate I think is a little bit higher overall, right? But they're still at a 96, and Tears of the Kingdom has sold more. And while Baldur's Gate has been talked about more recently, it just came out. there is this thing called recency bias. Tears of the Kingdom has been out for longer. And as Nate was suggesting earlier, it's looking like now that Baldur's Gate is kind of getting out of the honeymoon phase, will it still kind of maintain that level of conversation that makes you feel so confident that it's head and shoulders above Tears of the Kingdom for Game of the Year? And I think that's up for debate because Baldur's Gate's way more recent than Tears of the Kingdom.
I'll also say this. I talked to a lot of friends like inside the Nintendo community, and honestly, most of them are outside of the Nintendo community. Most of them don't even have Switches, don't play Zelda or Mario or anything. And even the people who are in the Nintendo community, outside the Nintendo community, just in general consensus, a lot of them aren't saying Tears of the Kingdom is their Game of the Year. And that's just an observation I've seen. I'm like, oh, was Tears of the Kingdom not your Game of the Year? Why? What is your Game of the Year?
We're talking about Jeff Keighley's The Game Awards.
User score on Metacritic?
It's like 8.5 or something like that.
And what is Baldur's Gate's user score?
I don't remember. Let's see.
But we have to remember this is irrelevant.
It is relevant because this is the gamers. This is the actual
the gamers don't decide it. The gamers
Tears of the
have
Kingdom
nothing to do
user
with
score
it.
is 8.1.
It's decided by review outlets. We're talking about Jeff Keighley's The Game Awards. It's 100% decided by the
Andre's argument is that if there's more reviews for a game, and
he's saying that there's a higher chance that more people on the panel have played Tears of the Kingdom than Baldur's Gate. That's basically what he's saying.
For fun, the actual gamers, the ones that matter.
Yeah,
I want to see how they voted.
It's 8.1.
Well, that's fine. They have an award for that.
8.9.
They do have an award for that.
Yeah.
They have the Player's Choice Award.
Okay, let them talk.
8.1 for Tears of the Kingdom versus 8.9 for Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
And Baldur's Gate has 300,000 Steam reviews and has a 96 as well, right?
Yeah, it's a 13,000. I'm rounding it down. 13,000 for 13,000 user ratings with 8.9 for Baldur's Gate. Tears of the Kingdom is 10,000 users ratings with 8.1. So Tears of the Kingdom is
we made him mad. We made him mad.
Holy crap! I'm not even mad.
It's the numbers.
I love both games. So I'm just like, dude, I win either way. I like both. Well, not really. I have to wear Boston Celtics
but
jersey. I don't win either way.
Jake, I wanted to ask you this: do you think it is as clear cut of a win for Baldur's Gate as it was for Elden Ring versus God of War Ragnarok last year? Because I think Elden Ring was like a clear cut, like God of War didn't stand a chance, but I think Tears of the Kingdom stands more of a chance.
That's a great comparison. Yeah. I think that year was a bigger gap than this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So yes, that was way more clear cut than this year. I still think this year is clear cut, but that's a good comparison to kind of gauge exactly how I feel about it. Because it's not as big a gap as that.
Yeah, Elden Ring was like.
I'm trying to understand what your reasoning is for it to win Game of the Year. Like what is your logic for it?
I mean, it's everything I've already said. I don't have anything more to add.
I think a direct sequel.
I'm not sure I really understood it because like
advantage with it being a direct
sequel. like we brought up like user reviews. Literally has nothing to do with the vote. It's got nothing to do with the panel.
That's not what I brought up.
You said it's a gap and it's Game of the Year, but Game of the Year.
What about everything?
I literally talked about how the entire content of Tears of the Kingdom doesn't even equal the cutscenes in Baldur's Gate. I talked about how.
But does that make the cutscenes better than the content in Tears of the Kingdom?
Did you not hear anything I said? Everything you're asking me, I addressed. So
no, but you did because you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, so you wouldn't even know. You're making an argument.
Not letting me answer the question.
Okay.
Do you want me to answer the question, or do you want to talk?
Okay, go right ahead.
So, the entire playthrough time of Baldur's Gate, I said this. Would you rather play a 10-hour game that's packed with good content, start to finish, or a 50-hour Ubisoft game that's boring? You'd rather play the packed with content. Baldur's Gate is a longer game than Tears of the Kingdom, but yet is packed with content. And
how is it a longer game?
And I know you disagree with this. Tears of the Kingdom isn't the new fresh thing like Breath of the Wild was, and Baldur's Gate 3
I think that's the big thing about it. It's not.
And I know that you're saying you disagree with that, but it's so crazy to say a 20-year-old game feels exactly the same as this new one that has more cutscenes than the other one ever had. It is the same
cutscenes. Cutscenes aren't new to gaming. Like that's not a new thing.
Yes, but I'm talking.
You're talking about how like this is supposed to feel innovative or fresh. I don't know. Cutscenes
You
being
keep,
like the driving
making
force of the
points that
game.
aren't the points I said. You like
You
take what you're doing is you're taking key words that I used in my argument, and you're like, oh my god, he said the word cutscenes. But cutscenes doesn't mean game of the year. What the heck? Like you're not listening to what I'm saying.
You said the cutscenes of the game were longer than the entirety of Tears of the Kingdom. Those are your words, which is a factual inaccuracy.
That was one thing I said in the entire argument, and you're
I
like,
know, but it's a factual inaccuracy.
Argument. That was part of it to build context.
But if the part to build the context is incorrect, then it's not really context.
Are the cutscenes of Baldur's Gate 3 not longer than the entire game of Tears of the Kingdom?
No.
That is incorrect.
Everyone, open up your Switches. Tell me what your play hours are in Tears of the Kingdom.
I'm more curious to know what the Baldur's Gate cutscene
But completing is a subjective thing.
Right. And I'm not saying it's to complete Baldur. I'm saying a full playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom without 100%ing. Just the hours alone of the cutscenes in Baldur's Gate 3. There's more. Now, in one single playthrough, you will not experience all the cutscenes because many of them, they're all independent to choices.
Guys, listen to this. Baldur's Gate 3 has more cinematic dialogue than all 3 Lord of the Rings novels combined, times 3, with 174 hours of cinematics. The game's cutscenes will be over twice the length of the entire series Game of Thrones. So,
all right.
That's
all I'm saying.
Okay, so your context is that there's 174 hours of cutscenes, and that leads to the game being clear-cut game of the year because
that's not what I said, and I'm done because that's not what I said.
You said because it's a newer, fresher experience. I was just pointing out that that your only context to that was 174 hours.
Oh, is it just the
there he goes? You might actually be mad. I might have made Jake run away. You ran away too, so I don't really know.
My PC crashed.
Oh, okay.
This is what happens when you talk about Game of the Year. It just gets a little heated.
It gets very, very heated.
But I want to ask you two specifically. You two, the Nintendo, focused entirely 100% Nintendo people. Have you guys played anything outside, like any new 2023 releases outside of Nintendo? Like, have you Zelda, Mario, Pikmin, Xenoblade, Fire Emblem? Like, Nintendo's had a lot, but what
it's been a busy year.
No, but it's been a busier year outside of Nintendo as well. So what I know, being a Nintendo.
What I'm trying to say is that as a content creator who's trying to make it, and the amount of work it takes on top of playing the Nintendo games, all the major Nintendo games, I have not had time to play other games outside of other platforms. Not that I wouldn't want to. I have not had the time to.
Yeah.
So when I play a game, it's usually a game that I'm probably going to talk about in a video.
Okay.
I'm not saying that there are games I don't just play at my leisure. I just talked about for 10 minutes about Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I do,
Yu-Gi-Oh!
But that's a small investment, right? Like I've continually put Elden Ring on the back burner.
Ooh.
But that's not a small investment. You know, I'm not gonna start.
Wait for the Switch 2 version.
Hours. Well, that's the thing. At this stage, I'm kind of hoping that next year, Monster Hunter, Resident Evil 4 remake, and Elden Ring, the three, I keep talking about those games because one, Monster's not announced yet, but I mean, we know it's coming. It's just a matter of when.
I thought it would be announced by now, honestly, but I think they're waiting
for Switch 2.
I think they're waiting for Switch 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are all third-party games that I'm kind of hoping are on Switch 2 and next year.
Yeah. And
hopefully I have time and resources to hire a secretary or something, so I have time to play those games. But yeah, I haven't played any major third parties this year. No, not anything new. So there might be something I forgot.
That's a Mario Wonder. The actual
Mario Wonder. Yeah,
we would have stuck to that topic. Sorry, I even mentioned that preview said it might be Goaty. My bad.
Did Jake's computer crash too, or does he?
No. I'm pretty sure I made him mad and he dipped out.
Really?
You know how you and I will go back and forth sometimes? We were having one of those moments, and he just peaced out. So I'm not so sure he's coming back. I could text him, but if he's actually upset at the moment, I'm gonna give him a little bit calm down, just in case. I don't think it's appropriate to text him right now. So Mario Wonder, any thoughts on it before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I want to play it. It's gonna be great.
I'll play it eventually, but I think Spider-Man takes precedence for me right now.
No,
But it looks great. It looks great. Mario Wonder looks great.
no, you're wrong. It doesn't look great. It looks magical. It looks wonderful.
Spider-Man
Mario
looks pretty
Wonder,
great too.
Spider-Man looks like Spider-Man. Mario Wonder looks like something fresh. As I say this as a ultra biased Nintendo fan who's not interested in the Spider-Man games, even though they are good games.
Yeah.
The way you blinked, you were just insulted by my opinion. I could feel it. I was just like,
It wasn't
"How dare-"
me. Was it? Was it?
No, I
Nishik?
was talking this quick. Yeah.
My PS5 has been in use a lot more this year than it was last year. I'll say that. Actually,
That's
no. I had a very big dry spell with the PS5. Like January till like summer was 100% Switch. Like Fire Emblem, something else in the middle, and then Xenoblade and Zelda were like back to back.
Yeah,
And
Switch
then-
is
Yeah, Switch.
like
Switch has
I
been on
always
fire
my
this year.
Switch is what I used to play games. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I still need to pick up a PS5 though.
yeah. It's
Since Starfield sucks, I'll probably get a PS5 instead of an Xbox.
I don't have an Xbox. If I want to play an Xbox game, I would play it on PC, which I did for Hi-Fi Rush, and that was really.
I'm joking about Starfield sucking. I don't think it sucks. It's just not
Yeah.
my. It's not what I.
Starfield
was gonna be.
is I don't think it's a game that I would enjoy playing from the looks of it, but it looks pretty decent.
It's good for what it is.
Yeah.
As is Baldur's
But yeah,
Gate.
I'm more
Well, Baldur's
interested.
Gate.
Like the game of the year, like winner is one thing, but I think the nominees is gonna be even more exciting to witness. Like who's gonna be in the six.
I mean, I
nominees.
think this is I mean, I'm sorry Jake's not here because the thing is there is another game that
He'll be back.
stands
He'll be back.
above.
I was just texting him. Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
There is another
taking
game.
a small break.
Okay.
There is another game that stands above Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate.
Lord of the Rings Gollum.
If this was Paul Gale Nembrick, Street Fighter 6.
It's above those.
Lord of the
Gollum
Rings
is close
Gollum.
though. Gollum is number 2.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Um,
whoa.
Lord of the
Did
Rings.
the developer no longer exist because of that game?
That's how good it is.
I feel bad. I shouldn't make fun of people losing their jobs.
No,
They
the
tried
game-
hard. They tried
This
hard.
game is actually good. The game
what
I'm
is
about
it,
to say is
Pikmin 4?
actually good. This game should be played by
Pikmin 4.
this game should be played by more people than any other game we've mentioned today.
F-099.
F099. That's its
right.
Metacritic score as far as I'm concerned. 99. That's how good it
Best
is.
family game
It is really good.
of 2020.
See, that's why I pick up and play, like when I
Yeah.
need a break from other stuff. Because, like, look, I'm going to get my ass kicked, but I'm going to have fun getting my ass kicked.
To be totally, I don't know. I don't want to say honest because it's
So-
not that I'm not honest, but I just
Yeah.
want to say, I feel like there should be. Why is your face so big?
Mine.
It'll be once Jake comes back, it'll be fine. He's more zoomed in than we are.
He's Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah.
Look, he's really smart.
Yeah.
Dude, he's Dexter. He's got the laboratory going.
4000. Man, I hope you're getting enough oxygen up there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
jeez.
Anyway, what I was gonna say, I think we should do like a Nintendo, award show because there's we should just talk about like how
that's gonna be
Nintendo games
fun.
rank against each other because like Pikmin 4 outside of Tears of the Kingdom probably is would be my personal game of the year.
Can I rant for a bit about Nintendo specific game of the years?
Oh well,
Or-
Future
no, no.
Redeemed,
Oh, don't even get me
Prime
started.
Remastered.
Here's the thing. I made a video about this, and like you guys might know what I'm about to say here, but basically in 2016 the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine, the best RPG. Not even Dark Souls 3, not even Xenoblade X, not even anything else. It was Witcher 3 DLC. So I know for a fact Future Redeem's not even gonna get a single like mention at all in the Game Awards. But I'm
Unless
like,
they have a DLC award. I feel like at this point they
No,
should have a DLC award.
I
agree.
There
just
should be. There's enough
I agree.
DLC coming out every year to
at this
have it.
point, I just hope that Octopath Traveler 2 gets a nomination for RPG and at least a nomination for soundtrack. If
No, that's not gonna
Octopath
happen.
2 gets in, and I don't know
Baldur's
if it'll
Gate
win, but,
3
like,
is going to win Best RPG. It's going to
Yeah.
win Best Story. It's going to win Best Direction.
I think Final Fantasy has story in the bag. I think
And it's
Final
going to win
Fantasy-
Game of the Year. And Nintendo fans are never going to watch the Game Awards ever again.
Yeah. And Nintendo's gonna have no announcements, no Metroid Prime 4, no Switch 2 hint, nothing. Nintendo's gonna be like, "Oh, we were invited to the Game Awards." What? Yeah. But yeah, I think Future Redeemed is like, even out of other games that I've played this year on PC and PS5, it is my number 2. I loved it that much. I personally think it is only a DLC in its naming, its marketing, and its branding. Otherwise, everything else about it plays like a modern, like, Nintendo Switch release. It's like a game I spent like 30 hours in, probably more than 30 hours. It has the amount of content equivalent to like a normal action RPG, like comparing it to like Kingdom Hearts 3 or something. I feel like there's enough content there. It has a unique story, unique OST, unique characters, unique combat system. Basically, it's a DLC in only its naming, its marketing,
I'm
and
not
its
gonna
branding.
lie.
But
I
yeah.
knew when I invited Nishwick on, he'd find a way to go. to
Yeah,
town
I
about
always
Future
find a
Redeemed.
way
I
to
just
talk
knew
about
it.
Xenoblade.
I just knew
Every
it. I just
single
knew
time.
it. Not even a topic. We're supposed to be talking Mario. It's like the
Yeah.
only thing we haven't talked about. So it's probably time to move on, since there clearly isn't a lot of interest to talk about
Yeah.
that topic.
Transitions, real quick. 2 things. One,
Keep it clean.
I didn't want to cry on stream, so I had to go real quick. But also,
I'm too sexy for you. I understand.
exactly, you better not treat me different. I come at me with that intensity, that fire. I love it. If you treated me different because you felt bad, that would make me mad. I love your passion for Nintendo. Keep it up. I had a long day. I was tired, and I couldn't articulate what I wanted to say, and I was just like, I don't want to deal with this. So I needed to take 5.
You're all right, man. You don't gotta worry
Good
about
to
it.
have you back.
So basically, what Jake just said is you're a biased little Nintendo fanboy. Mr.
Yeah, he basically
Prime,
just
and
Wait,
you
what?
suck. That's
No.
what you just, Jake. That's what you just said about Nate. He's a biased little Nintendo fanboy,
What?
and he
What?
sucks.
you just call me a little bitch. It's all right. I am small, literally 5'5". I'm pretty short. So
Hey,
Jeez,
2
why are you
inches is
bringing
more
his
than-
height into this? Why would you do that?
because I'm a little bitch, like literally.
Wow.
Hey, we're all
I didn't say-
fanboys
I-
about
I didn't-
something.
I
I
didn't
will
say
own
that.
that I'm a Xenoblade fanboy. So yeah.
Wait, who said that?
Nishwick.
What?
Nishwick's a Xenoblade
Oh,
fanboy.
oh, sorry. I didn't. Can you get a little closer to the screen?
Oh, you should have seen when it was just the 3 of us.
No, I did. I
as
was
they say,
watching all
He
that.
did. He was
Trump, so-
watching. Anyways, moving on to our next topic. This is
Pyra Myth remain, just for the record.
Yeah.
this is kind of rare. We don't usually go into other consoles and the stuff they have going on unless it's like major announcements, like when new systems are coming out. And sure as shit, new systems are coming out because PlayStation and Sony, well, Sony in particular, I guess, made the decision to refresh the PlayStation 5 with brand new models that'll be replacing the current ones. So they're basically not making the current ones anymore. When they're gone, they're gone. Then you can only get these ones. They are essentially what they used to call the PlayStation Slim, but they're not using that moniker because they're just doing a straight up.
Oh, wait, I gotta correct you. Because I want to get an argument with you.
Sure.
They never called any PlayStation revision a PlayStation Slim.
Okay.
That was always what the public called
The
it.
public called.
So this is
Okay.
consistent.
Thank you. I appreciate
You
it.
can still call it a Slim.
I've never bought a Slim PlayStation before ever, but
Well, I've never made one.
I've literally only had like launch units. Weird.
I'm looking forward
I
to
have the
PlayStation
PS3
Splendor.
Super Slim. That's
I
what
had
it
an
was called,
Xbox
the
360
Super
Elite
Slim.
though, but I think wasn't it the same size as the normal Xbox 360? It had a bigger
yeah,
hard drive.
It just didn't die half the time.
Yeah, no red ring of death problems.
Um, You know what's interesting about this PS5 Slim is it
No.
supposedly confirms the PS5 Pro next year.
Yes, I
Oh,
Yeah.
dropped
Oh,
that
yeah.
info,
Yep,
Yes,
we'll get
yeah.
to, we'll get
and
to that
we
in a moment.
talked about it on the podcast as well. But I'm sure we'll go.
Yeah,
back
we'll
over.
we'll
So-
get to that in a moment.
Okay.
First, let's just go over
I'm
what this
going
is because I don't know that everyone that follows the Nintendo podcast even knows what's going on because you probably don't pay attention to everything going on across the industry. So let's talk about what's going on. So these models are straight up replacements for the current PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 all digital. They're roughly 30% smaller. I'm not going to get into all the spec details. You want to go and look at the size comparisons, you can go do that. The disc version is still going to be $499, no price change. The all digital, however, is going up $50 to $449, which is interesting since they announced this while they're still selling the $399 model. It is what
So
it is.
basically, it's bullshit.
Yeah, some people
I
argue you
think
get a
so.
little bit more extra storage or something, and I'm like, maybe
It's
175
1
gigs.
terabyte of storage now, of like accessible storage, whereas
Yeah.
before it was
Yeah.
867 gigabytes. So you didn't
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
130.
the full terabyte. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't they
But-
increase the price of the disc version?
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
might
because
have.
of the stand.
Because see,
yeah.
we'll get to that in a moment. The disk drive is detachable, which is actually a pretty nice quality of life feature. You can buy extra disk drives if you're worried about it not lasting long haul. You can
They should
also
have
if you
done
buy a
that.
digital.
It's like the PS2. All consoles should have done that.
Yeah, they should.
Imagine your GameCube fails and you just pop a new disc drive on.
I mean, it's what PCs
Why
have been
did it
forever.
take
Your
us
disk drive
20
dies, you just buy a new
years
one.
to come up with that feature? It's such a good
And
idea.
it's coming out at a time when they want to get rid of disk
It's a little
drives.
too late, but
Yeah,
you know
they
what
want
I
to get
mean?
rid of them now. Yeah. But what
Yeah.
is cool is that you can buy an all digital, and if you have buyers remorse later and want physical games, you could buy a disc drive for it.
But
and
the
it
disc
will
drive is
come-
$80.
Yeah.
So if you bought a digital and then
Yeah.
want the disc drive, you're gonna pay $530.
Oh, but maybe even more. So
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you to that one.
the PlayStation 5 today, the current one that's been here since launch, I guess
Such
there's been a
garbage.
couple. I guess there's been a couple minor internal revisions, but it's the same PlayStation 5 since launch. Comes with a stand. The stand lets you set it sideways, which I have my PS5 back
It's
here
a
set, which looks
little
cool. Which, by the way, the PS5 sideways,
half-inch destroyer. That
like this little PS5, look, this giant PS5 sideways, by the way, looks completely ridiculous. It does not look like a console that should be set sideways. It should be set straight up. I can't set it straight up or it covers part of the TV. So
Just for size comparison, the new PS5 kickstand is like that big, like a third of a Switch
Yeah.
kickstand.
So here's what they did. All their big promotional stuff, all their commercials are showing it standing vertically with a stand, which is exactly what you can do with today's PlayStation 5s. Except the stand doesn't come with. You get a little tiny little, looks like a 3D printed plastic little nub that you can stick on it just so you can lay it sideways, which, by the way, I just showed you how ridiculous a PlayStation 5 looks like when it lays sideways because it wasn't
This
made
one
to-
is
Whoa.
smaller. It might look a little better, but
It
yeah.
might, but even then, it's how it like aesthetically to me. The PlayStation 5 is already not a great looking system, and it looks ridiculous sideways because it was never really built to be sideways.
I just hate the disc models that the fact that it's not symmetrical.
Yeah.
So I hate it. I hate it vertical or horizontal.
Either way. But you get this, guys. You want to stand it vertical, right? Because like that's the way it looks like it was actually designed to stand. Was vertical. $30 accessory for a piece of plastic. With
Yeah,
what we
I
think
don't
might be
think
a
that's
smidge of metal.
yeah.
It might be a little metal ring.
That's
but
kind of a ripoff for a stand. It's
How
kind of a
expensive is
ripoff.
the
it's,
Toy
it's like Apple.
How
This is something
expensive
Apple.
is the Joy-Con
Yeah.
grip?
What?
To
How
put
expensive
it in the
is the Joy-Con grip?
context, you can get a Switch dock for $80.
$80.
It has the entire functionality to hook your Switch up to the TV.
Does Nintendo sell
charging
docks individually like
Over
on their
over
website?
a third of that. They're charging
By the
like
way, the
40%
Joy-Con grip is
that
20 bucks.
price.
To
For a
stand your
little circle to
PlayStation,
make it stand up straight.
Yeah.
which is the way it looks like it's designed to stand in the first place.
Right.
It's like, and they've been including it the whole time with the PS5. They're
Only-
yanking it out.
Sony is going back to when they fumbled the bag with the PS3 launch, and they're messing up. They're getting cocky, and they're literally fumbling the bag. And I'm as a PlayStation fanboy, I'm a Nintendo fanboy and a PlayStation fanboy, not an Xbox hater, just don't really care that much. But as a PlayStation fanboy, I'm genuinely worried they're gonna absolutely F up the rest of this generation. And thank God Jim Ryan's out. But he could just be a scapegoat. This could be stuff that everyone in the company is on the same page, and it's concerning.
Yeah, I don't know how many of those bad decisions even were Jim Ryan's decisions. I mean, he might have been in charge of spinning it.
That's what I mean. He's the scapegoat. They're using they're using that as an excuse. They're like, "Oh, guys, don't worry, Jim Ryan's out."
A lot of
what I
these
hate about
CEO
what I hate about the
retirements
included
are just
kickstand
seen as
too.
scapegoats. Yeah,
I saw a picture of the kickstand on its own. Dude, it is so tiny. Yeah, no one's ever going to lose that. Ever.
Oh, no, I think it's built into the PS5.
Yeah.
The horizontal one.
You think it's built in? It looks like it
No, I
clips
thought,
on.
yeah, it flips down. It's just a
I'll have to
little
go
piece
look
of
at some
metal.
more pictures.
I'm just saying, I actually might buy this one. They
Well,
need
the
to be
Pro's
similar.
coming out.
I
in a
mean,
year.
it's good
Might as
for
well
you
wait.
since you don't have one right now. Yeah.
Well, all right. Here's
exactly.
another thing. This doesn't matter at all, but it is one positive thing about the new model that I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It has 4 plates now instead of 2.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
you could do 4 different
Ooh.
colors, which is kind of sick.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And also, you know how it has like the slash in the middle of the console? What I think would be sick is a Wolverine special edition where it uses that slash as a claw mark, but it also has like another slash on each of the plates that surround it, so it's like 3 claw marks.
Sure.
It's hard to like explain this without a visual, but does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me.
Okay.
So yeah, this is like something you might be able to fold down, which is cool. I still, my experience with fold down ones is Switch, and it's not good. But this is different because obviously you're not holding it, you're not moving it around,
using it
etc.
as a screen,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
I still think it looks ridiculous and dumb and stupid, but it doesn't really matter because the PlayStation 5 honestly has kind of looked ridiculous from the day they unveiled the damn thing. It's an alien spaceship thingamabobber, and that's what they went with, and that's total. You know what? It is. I don't want to. I want to be careful, especially in Nintendo podcasts, to be like, oh, it's the market leader, but it is the outselling the Xbox significantly so. And that, by the way, this actually doesn't mean the Xbox is doing poor. Microsoft seems to be pretty happy with the sales so far, but they know that they're at half at best of what PS5 is doing. And you brought up that point, Jake, that like this feels like a move Sony did when they were on top of the world at the end of PS2, and they said we're just going to do what the hell we want to make the most money, and this is just what it's going to be. And we know better than everyone. We have cell processors. We're going to charge $600 when the competition's been out for a year and has only been charging $350.
And 600 in 2006 was like 800 to 900 today.
Yeah, ridiculous today. So, and it kind of feels like I'm trying to think of a time when a console in the middle of this generation refreshed with replacement systems and said, you know what, we're also going to charge you more and take out features that we included in the original. Like version 2 Switch, they just gave us better battery life.
And
otherwise, you got
this
everything.
is not even like a boost
price.
in performance
No.
at all. Yeah, it's the same specs.
In theory, them doing this should make it cheaper to make PS5.
Yeah.
It's like,
but they're
it's
charging more.
basically like when Nintendo released the V2 Switch that had better battery.
Yeah.
When
they had a new chip in it that was smaller.
There no more exploits.
It was better
battery
life.
Yeah, they shrunk the die a little bit and then had better battery life because of it. But that was it though. They didn't charge us anymore. It was still $299. It was just a straight replacement for V1. That's what these are, but they're charging more. And even if you think, oh, they're not charging more for the top end one, well, if you want the standard vertically.
Well, and another thing that we haven't even talked about is they're raising the price of all the accessories in other regions, not the US.
Japan in specific is getting
So,
huge
like,
price.
Both
like
DualSense controllers.
It's not limited to Japan. I mean, Europe as well.
So both DualSense controllers are getting a price hike.
Yes.
What else?
Not in the
Charging
US.
dock, webcam, everything.
Yeah, all their first party accessories except for the VR are getting price hiked.
Wow.
Let's not even get started on the VR.
We don't need to get there. And somehow
so many bad decisions.
Oh, games you can play on both are compatible with both. You can't play together. What are you talking about? Dumb. It's the same game. Oh, such a dumb decision. Anyways,
I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on this, but with PS5 Pro that is rumored for next year, what is gonna make it a Pro? I don't.
It'd be more powerful.
But like, in what way is it gonna be like? Some people are saying 4K 60 with ray tracing for basically every single game, or like 4K
Well, ray
120
tracing's also
hertz for
unavailable.
every
4K
single game. I don't know.
60. That's
So-
so last gen. It's gonna be
4K
8K 120.
It
The
is
four-
going to be able to hit 8K with accelerated ray tracing. We don't know the FPS that it's going to be able to do that at,
Yeah.
but it's
Okay.
going to be able to. Technically, this PS5, the current one, can.
Listen,
has 8K
any,
on the
any
box
game with less
the
than 120 frames per
PS5, yeah.
second just makes me dizzy. Like
It's
if-
going to be like
120 frames per
It's
second
going to be like
minimum.
1.5 PS5s. So it's going to cut a PS5 in half, duct tape it to another one. That's what it's going to be. Which, by the way,
That's so
isn't a bad
silly.
thing.
They
It's
should
not a
call.
bad thing.
They should, instead of calling
It's
it the
just-
PS5 Pro, they should call it the PS5 6.9.
or you should
Yeah,
call it
I
the
think
PlayStation 5
There's
snooty.
1.9 more PS5 power.
There's a lot of people out there that are making fun of this idea of the PlayStation 5 Pro, and I think I understand it from one perspective, and that is we only just now started to see exclusives this generation, and we're to believe that what we're seeing now is the best the PS5 can
Yeah.
do. Usually
Yeah.
that comes towards the end of
Final
the
Fantasy
generation.
16
here's-
still
here's
has
the
frame
thing, Nate.
drops for me.
Yeah.
I don't
There's going
know.
to be games that optimize the current base model PS5 so well, play them so well, but the PS5 Pro is just something that Sony can use to boost sales, sell it to people that already bought the PS5, whatever, like what Nintendo does with the OLED, which had no performance improvement besides a better screen.
Well, they
And
charge us
you can take those
$6.99.
games that are going to utilize the base PS5 a lot better, and they'll
Yeah.
just play even better, even smoother.
Yeah.
Or
No, there's
same
nothing wrong with it.
same performance, but whereas maybe they'd be, 60 4K on the PS4, maybe not like a full one. Maybe they won't go in an increment of a full 120, but maybe it'll give you, if it's uncapped,
Yeah.
a higher frame rate with that same 4K, and it's going to be for the same market that bought the PS4 Pro. Now, I
No,
think
of course it is. Yeah.
it remains to be seen how big that market will be this gen, and also
And it never really it
what
didn't
the price is going to be. And then there's just one other thing I want to say about it.
yeah.
The 8K, and someone in the chat was like, who has an 8K monitor? No one now. That's like to future proof, quote unquote. The PS6 is allegedly, according to leaks that Tom Henderson, gonna come out in 2028. I don't think most people are
Xbox
gonna have an
too.
8K display even by then.
Yeah.
So I don't care about 8. Like, take that out of it. Just get me better performance. Get
4K
me, you know what I
displays
mean?
are.
I would like to see 120
modernized.
FPS.
I want to see
120
120
FPS.
4K.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
you can go play Fortnite 120 4K on
PCs.
base PS5 right now.
Dude, yeah.
If you can do that with Fortnite, an
120
online game,
FPS would be a way bigger deal.
yeah, 120 4K. You can do that with an online game right now. Granted, Fortnite's not the best graphics, but it's not terrible. If you can do that with an online game, you should be able to do that with your single player experiences. Like,
So
Yeah.
I'll tell you why though, and this is something that's been talked about for a long time. Oh, why are all these games on Switch only 30 FPS? Why is this? Why is that? Every game look, PlayStation 5 supports 120 FPS. All PS5 games can be 120, but it has to be a developer target and goal.
Yeah.
If the developer's goal is to always we want to push the visual fidelity, that's where they're going to put the power. They're
there's
going to put
currently
it towards
one
that.
8K game on PS5.
Yeah. What is it?
The Tourist.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know. Okay, that's pretty cool.
So that's the thing. Even if they support it, they'll have support for 120. I just don't think that developers are going to use the power for that because 120 doesn't sell in a commercial.
I agree with you, but
Yeah.
I want to see like Insomniac freaking get Wolverine.
Options. Give me PC like options where I can turn the graphics down to get higher FPS.
Well, they do that now, but they call it performance mode.
Yeah,
and
but it's
Xbox
only
is the same thing.
it's either performance or quality. But I want more. I don't want just performance
You
or
want-
quality. Let
They
me
have
pick and choose.
performance,
Maybe-
quality,
maybe-
performance,
If
ray
the
tracing,
PS5
and high
Pro
performance.
incorporates that, where you
Yeah.
can customize how you play the games more, like what you're saying, Nate, that would be, I think, a big win. That would make it a lot more appealing to me. For
Yeah,
sure.
you still keep your base settings because not everyone's going to want to mess, but give the option. Like I look at it like The Witcher 3 on Switch. Actually, this is kind of crazy. They added an update that actually let us go in there and mess with like PC like settings on Switch,
Like
which
sliders.
was crazy. Like yeah, they give us
Yeah.
sliders for things. Like it was
Okay.
insane. So I was like, man, I love that on PC gaming, but I know from a general consumer viewpoint, yeah, most consumers aren't going to mess with that. But if you give us the option, I like having the option, even if you have these two completely optimized ideal modes. But hey, what if I want to, this ray tracing? Hey, what if I want to turn that off and hit 120? Let me turn it off. So I don't
Right.
know. it's interesting. Obviously, we don't FSR 3 hasn't hit the systems yet either, so we don't know what that's going to help them with too as well. We talk about DLSS a lot with Nintendo, and it is from a technological standpoint the more advanced technology compared to FSR. But FSR isn't a joke. There's a reason Nintendo's using it on Switch.
Yeah.
It does do stuff, and they're using 1.0. 3.0 kicks the shit out of 1.0.
One,
So,
I think, like I said, Nate, I think that's an amazing idea, and Sony should do that. One thing that makes me nervous that they're not is I don't think they can optimize it or play test it with every customized setting to make it work. And my frame of reference for that is look at all their PC ports.
yeah,
They fix them over time, but they come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
You know
they're
what
a
I
little
mean?
rough.
When they
Yeah.
make games that do have those options, they can't freaking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
And they
my
give
thing-
very limited options in their PS5 games. Like God of War, it had fidelity, performance, and then if you have
Right.
like a 120
That's
hertz
what we're saying,
display
yeah.
with a 2.1 cable, it's high performance or quality performance or something. And then Spider-Man has performance ray tracing. And then like if you're using a 120 hertz TV, I think you can play fidelity at 40 FPS. But
Yeah.
it's like
And
locked.
that's
You
the
can't
thing. Like Nate
yeah.
said, this is like if you want to do the high quality graphics, you can't then turn off the ray tracing. You have
Yeah.
it's like they give you two choices. You either get all the bells and whistles with the lowest frame rate, or get the higher frame rate and nothing.
Yeah.
Like
nothing in between. Yeah.
yeah.
So here's the thing, like, you know, we're talking about these new models of PS5. Like, look, a PS5 Pro coming isn't a shocker when they did the PS4 Pro. Them making smaller models of their PlayStation. Look, they've been doing that. I mean, gosh, probably since PS1. I have to remember if they made a smaller one. But either way, they've been doing that for a long time. So none of this is surprising. The most surprising part is the jacking of the prices, the increasing the prices of accessories, increasing the price of the digital model, ripping a feature, a stand out from the system that was included, and then thinking you could charge $30 for it. People are probably just going to go on Amazon and buy $5 third-party ones at this point. But so I mean, someone will buy the official one because I understand it's officially supported. It screws in, blah blah blah.
Well, that's the thing. That's what Sony does with all their accessories. You know,
I know, but
people buy the first party.
Someone's gonna do a third-party one that you can screw in as well.
I mean, look
It's
at
gonna happen.
D-Brand with the plate situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a bunch of alternate Switch docks out there for cheaper. Like that's fine.
And so many people still want to buy the first party, and that's
well,
where
there
Sony
was
is
an issue
talking
with
about.
them bricking Switches that scared people like 4 years ago, but that's
Right.
not a problem
Those are
anymore.
power
Nintendo
cords,
actually
right.
released an update that stopped that from happening because they had like even their partners that made those docks were like, what's going on? So, look, the scary thing is mostly just all the price hiking because this is people always talk about how they would love in their mind to have there be one console that gets everything. So Nintendo's no longer a console manufacturer. Microsoft no longer is. Everyone just puts everything on PlayStation or they all combine and make one giant, system or whatever. But this is the scary thing that happens when you have a monopoly. And I would venture to guess at the moment, PlayStation 5 compared to Xbox has as big of a monopoly as they've had in a long time. And they know it. And they didn't do this at launch. They're doing it mid-gen when they're already successful and already creating demand. Oh, and by the way, launching their most in-demand game. They're purposely doing this when they are because they know they can get away with it in the moment. They knew they're going to get backlash. They're not stupid. They just know Spider-Man 2 is dropping next week and everyone's going to forget about it. Not everyone, like the hardcore, like podcasters and stuff, some of the PlayStation dedicated channels, because I've even seen they're not happy about this. Nobody's happy about it. But there's not really a way to spin it as a positive. It's just they're doing it. And this is what people are scared of is last time Sony got this full of themselves was the beginning of PlayStation 3, and a lot of bad things went down with decisions they were making. And I think people are more worried about if they're making these decisions now, what decisions are they going to make with the PS6?
And then just to clarify for chat that may not have been around when the PS3 happened, specifically when you're saying a lot of bad things happen, what you mean is Sony went very anti-consumer, which is bad for everyone.
Yeah.
And they're showing a lot of, and someone said in the chat even, what's the problem? What's the big problem with PS5? I mean, objectively, just the games that are coming out, how the console performs, all good. What's bad with going on with the PS5 and Sony is the price hikes, the BS like slim that's increasing the costs of everything for the consumer. It's anti-consumer practices that have been a pattern for Sony when they start to become more popular than the competition. And I'm not, and by competition I don't mean Nintendo, because Nintendo's
when they
kind
feel
of
like there's a large enough gap to the
between
next
them and like
closest
Microsoft,
competitor.
basically.
Yeah. And last time they did this was PlayStation 3, and guess what was leading compared to them most of that generation? Xbox 360.
Right.
Xbox 360 were selling like crazy. People are like, oh, we're not dealing with this bullshit. We're not.
And here's the
Look,
thing.
games are even running better on the 360 because you went with a Celeron or a cell processor that nobody uses, nobody wants to develop for. Oh, and you're charging $600, which is almost twice as much as the competition. And then, oh, look at this. Now, like everyone's talking now, like, hey, this is great news for the Nintendo Switch 2, because when it comes out, it's going to be priced under the all digital version. You know who this is really great news for? The Xbox Series S. That's what, like, now that's $150 price gap to the next PlayStation from the cheapest Xbox. And I understand that there's performance differences, but all the third party games keep going to the Xbox Series X.
Here's the problem with Xbox. And this is the reason I think PlayStation made a lot of these decisions, is because they're choking in an even worse way, where they're not coming up with games. There's no incentive to buy it. I mean, Starfield was their big game, and honestly, for that to be the big game, I mean, Forza came out, but that's a racing game. It's a little different.
Hits on a really specific audience.
For Starfield to be basically
flopped.
the Xbox exclusive game of the year is embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Bethesda copy and paste. I mean, I guess that's a little harsh, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and
you're not a huge fan of Starfield, but
no, and I don't think it's a bad game, but it's just not for me. But
absolutely,
regardless, even if I loved it, for that to be your biggest game in years, it's like they've just messed up. They messed up Halo. They're messing up all their big stuff. Sure. And so Sony's like, great. And instead of like just keeping doing what they're doing, which is what they should do, they're like, cool, we're going to take this opportunity to just take advantage of people more.
Yeah.
And people aren't dumb.
And I do wonder if this mentality persists. See, my thing is, I don't think it's going to hurt them this generation, but I do worry about decisions being made now as they're working on the PlayStation 6.
The only way I can see it hurt them is if all those Xbox games that were announced a couple years ago, like Fable and they all start coming out rapid fire, and a couple of them are really good. So Sony's going to screw themselves.
So that's the one thing I was saying is Sony's on top and they're enjoying it, but I think they're ignoring that Xbox just bought a ton of studios over the last 5 years. And when all of those studios, not just Bethesda, when all of those studios start to bear fruit, and if that fruit ends up being Starfield or better every single time, that's going to be a problem, because they realistically might start releasing more high quality exclusives more often than Sony does. And that's only going to drive Xbox sales. And then Sony's going to be like, oh, well, we'll be friendly. We'll drop the all digital price back to what it originally was, because we're a nice guy. And it's like,
in terms
they just don't care until Xbox.
I mean, now Xbox owns Tony Hawk, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Banjo-Kazooie. They're all Xbox exclusives.
Oh yeah, and they're going to come out.
Yeah.
The only game they promised was Call of Duty ain't going anywhere. World of Warcraft ain't going anywhere. Well, of course they're not. But all those other IPs are probably going to be exclusive.
What Sony first party games, if any, are confirmed for next year? None, right? Does anything have a date?
Correct. I think you're correct. Yeah,
I don't think they have any announced for 2025 right now, specifically.
And also
2024.
Knights of the Old Republic, I think, got canceled.
Yeah, I think it's basically done. Yeah, they just don't want to say anything
saying,
about
it's not okay. Whatever. Almost everyone got fired.
They pulled the trailer from YouTube.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
And they said it's because of music licensing, which doesn't make sense.
So you don't have licensing for Star Wars music in a Star Wars game.
They deleted all the Twitter posts about it as well. They deleted all their.
If you don't have licensing for Star Wars music in a Star Wars game,
you want to know why it's canceled? Because Disney's buying EA and doing it themselves.
Yeah, that's probably what that is something that's being talked about right now.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Disney might be buying EA.
Is it getting a Metroid Prime 4 kind of situation? Is that what's happening? Development restart with a different studio?
No, I don't think so. I think Disney wants to start their own game studio.
I also think that I think the hesitancy from the top of Disney to even pull the trigger on that, even though apparently there's pressure from the board, is that EA hasn't been consistent with the Star Wars games and their quality. And there's a one that everyone is super hyped for being made by Ubisoft right now that looks like it might be the best of all of them. And if that drops and just takes off, they don't want to be like, oh, now we can't work with Ubisoft because we own EA. Which
is Aspire part of EA?
What someone pointed out, Final Fantasy VII remake, the part 2.
Part 2. Part 2. There you go.
Oh
There's
yeah.
one.
Well, no, yeah.
Thanks, Cody.
Yeah. Rebirth is next
There's the
year,
Cody.
yes, but that's like saying I mean I don't. Yeah, Rebirth is a PS5 exclusive, but it's not first party.
Timed exclusive, I think.
Yeah.
It'll probably be on PC someday.
If I don't beat Persona 3 by the time Rebirth gets a PC like
well part 1's
date
coming
for
to Switch, too.
announced, yeah, I'll probably just get it on PC. I don't know.
Avowed.
Persona 3 is going
And
to be a very
Xbox has a
long game.
lot of announced games. I keep thinking about they have a lot of one. I mean, I don't know how many are coming next year, but man, they have a lot.
I hope
Avowed is
Wolverine
really,
comes
really
out
good.
next
Fable
year
sounds
for
good.
PS5.
Hellblade should be great. It's made by the original developers of the first one. They just have a huge budget now, so they could go crazy and do whatever they want.
Hellblade. We
Last
saw
of Us
something.
Part 2 is coming out next year. I mean, not
Oh
announced
yeah.
Yeah,
Horizon Zero Dawn remaster is coming out next year.
Well, Last of Us just leaked.
Yeah.
The Part 2 remake.
Yeah, the part two. Yeah. Dude, it's just kind of crazy, man. Look, this is what happens. There's anti-consumer practices all over every industry out there, and this is just what Sony's choosing to do.
I just want Wolverine.
Andres is making me feel like Eric really is still here.
Yeah,
I've never seen him talk more than when we discussed PlayStation.
Yeah, you can tell he's a huge PlayStation guy. I mean,
Look,
look, he's got the black and white theme. Look at this wall. It's all PlayStation themed. It's black and white.
Yeah, with that Xenoblade poster. Such a PlayStation
Xenoblade.
game.
That's not Xenoblade. That's Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, where did the Xeno universe start? What platform?
Xenogears, PS1. Yep. Xenogears on PS1, Xenosaga Trilogy on PS2. So yeah.
That's the Sony fanboy coming up being like, hey, make sure I can get my credit. Don't give that shit to Nintendo.
Well,
they own the studio too bad.
Squaresoft is making games on Nintendo. If you really want to argue that Squaresoft is making games on Nintendo,
Bamco still owns the IP for
Actually,
Saga.
Squaresoft never made a Nintendo game before PlayStation. Square did and Enix did.
All right, let's get on to Zelda, shall we?
Yeah, let's talk about Zelda. Oh, now it's the
real... You said sorry. You said Squaresoft. I thought you said Square Enix. I misheard.
Whoa, we got to keep it clean. Wait. We got to keep it clean.
We're good.
I know. I was keeping it filthy. That's my bad. I literally confused myself. I tricked myself.
Dude, you're talking Squaresoft and Square Enix. Hold on, no. Hold on. Yeah. There's a big distinction.
For those who don't understand, Squaresoft was first, and eventually Squaresoft broke into two different studios, Square Enix and Monolith Soft. Eventually.
No.
Squaresoft and Enix were two different studios, and then Squaresoft acquired Enix.
The reason
Enix made Dragon Quest, Squaresoft made Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
then
Takahashi just
acquired Enix.
So here's what happened, all right, guys. So Activision was this really big company doing big things, and they split off into two companies, Activision and then Blizzard. And then,
but you're also right, Andres. That happened after.
No. The soft with Monolith Soft is just software. It's nothing to do with SquareSoft. It's just Takahashi didn't want to work with Square anymore, so he created Monolith Soft and Bamco funded.
So Andres,
Saga.
There's a lot of staff that left. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was a grouping of people.
Into something more fun. Zelda. As the topic literally says, Zelda, what?
Joy CJ, you have to keep it clean, yes.
Yeah, Joy CJ, you're the exception, Joy CJ. You don't have to keep it clean. It's Zelda.
Hey.
You can freak out. Hey, she's a mod. She gets special privileges. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. So, why are we talking about Zelda? What the heck's going on with Zelda? Was there a new remake or remaster announced? No. Lego set? Nope. Animal Crossing, actually. It looks kind of cool. $75 for like 150 Legos. Sounds like
even though the Zelda Lego set got leaked.
Yep, but this one didn't, and this one's coming first. So there was basically a interview that occurred with the director of Tears of the Kingdom, or
Oh
who we
boy.
could probably have referred to at this point as like the director of all of Zelda, because he's been directing the last 3 major Zelda games. And Hiromaru Fujibayashi had this to say. Fujibayashi, okay, whatever.
Hiromaru Fujibayashi.
Okay, you go
It's a tongue twister.
Fujiyoshi. Anyways, he said the following about what happened to the Sheikah technology. He was asked about it, like, hey, this is like a plot hole. What the hell's going on? What happened to the Sheikah tech? And so he went on to explain, where did all that Sheikah tech go? They disappeared after the calamity was defeated. All of the people of Hyrule also witnessed this. But there is no one who knows the mechanism or reason why they disappeared. And it is considered a mystery. It is believed that since Calamity disappeared, they also disappeared as their role had been fulfilled. It is, anyway, commonplace for mysterious events and strange phenomena to occur in Hyrule. Thus, the people have simply assumed the reason behind the disappearance to likely be related to the ancient Sheikah technology, and it seems there is no one who has tried to explore the matter further. The main, I don't even know what that word is. I don't know. That's not the word that I went to type there, but the visualizations, I don't know. That's not the word I meant to type, so I don't know what it is. Anyways, in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, this is what happens. I didn't link the source I usually link the sources in, and I didn't link the source.
I don't know. I have no idea what's going on.
I have no idea what that word is. You guys seen that in the doc? I have no idea what that word is.
Just visualizations.
Apparently, it's a real word. Autocorrect probably what boned me, because it's a real word. Anyways,
doc.
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are completely different. So we thought about the game based on concepts that match each of those civilizations.
It's civilizations.
Is that what it's supposed to be? The main civilizations? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that makes sense.
100%. I remember it.
All right. Got it. There. Just have to
D
change
and C
one
are
thing.
are right next to each other too. So.
And boom. Got it. All right. So I'll reread that last one. The main civilizations in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are completely different. So we thought about the game based on concepts that would match each of those civilizations. So there's a lot of directions to go with this. For starters, I want to warn, there's always the possibility, since this deals with like a story detail, there could be some spoilers in this conversation for the game. I don't think we're going to get into Endgame or anything like that with Tears of the Kingdom.
I want to say one thing to you. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to applaud you for not butchering what was said, because a lot of people just read the interview, and there are the parts that are in quotes and the parts that are not in quotes. And some people have misconstrued what the writer said as flavor text surrounding the quotes as what Fujibayashi said.
Yeah, his interpretation versus
correct. Like it's the last part, he says, "In short, don't worry about it." Hideyomaru Fujibayashi never said that. That's just what the writer interpreted.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people think that he said that when he never did.
No.
I have a quick question about this. Is this the same interview where Aonuma? Did they interview Aonuma as well in this?
This article, you can't even. You have to. If there's a paywall, I don't.
I saw that. Yeah.
But I would like to read the whole article, but I didn't.
I also saw like a quote from Aonuma saying, "I want to create a game without a story." Was this the same interview, or was that a different interview around Breath of the Wild time?
There's a paywall. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm just gonna give my 2 cents on this. I don't know how you. I think I know how you guys feel. I talked to Nate a bit about this before the show. I saw Andres' video on this. This is the worst possible explanation they could have given for me, because I was always like, the one thing I was very excited for with Tears of the Kingdom is it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild in the same Hyrule, where they will mention things that happen in the first game. They will mention characters, they will mention events, they will mention things to establish continuity, Like a lot of sequels will kind of reference things from before to establish continuity. If they don't have anything present, they will at least mention why that isn't present. And especially with a game as big and as vast and as lore-filled as Zelda is, you would expect someone like Pura, Robbie, Impa, anyone who's knowledgeable on Sheikah tech to at least say something about it. Like, I don't know. I find it it almost feels to me like this quote was thought of in the moment and like of course they 100% thought about it in development, but it just feels like a very big glaring omission. And I feel like there was a lot of other things in Breath of the Wild where I was like, oh, why didn't they talk about this? Where is this? Why didn't they mention that or this character? Or why is this character at this age? Or why is this character like acting or behaving the way that they are? Because it doesn't make sense from what you experienced in Breath of the Wild.
Well,
And
I think one of the
I
main
mentioned
things,
this to you.
I think one of the main things about
Yeah.
that is the Sheikah Slate was the Wii U gamepad.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Tears of the Kingdom, they wanted to make it about the Pad and the Switch. And so I think they wanted to cut all ties with that because it really is representative of the Wii
U. I know. But the Sheikah Slate still existed in Hyrule. And there's only one, like, I think a better explanation, like my headcanon was when the upheaval happened, a lot of Sheikah tech was just like corroded with the gloom and sent down into the depths. And that was my headcanon. And I was
here's the thing. I think you were completely right about saying that he might have just pulled that quote out of his ass.
Yeah.
Because I think what happened is you're right. They thought about it in development and they made a conscious decision. Obviously, we're not going to have any Sheikah Slate. They didn't think about why. They didn't want to give a reason why because they didn't want to talk about it at all. And so that's why this answer, because he doesn't want there to be a cool explanation like what you're saying right now. He just wants it to be done. You know what I mean?
And Nintendo just makes shit up as they go when it comes to Zelda.
All right, so before we continue, I just want to speak on a point. This is a point I wish I actually addressed more so with my video yesterday on this subject. But because there's a paywall behind the article, I don't think we have all the proper context for what's being said here.
I forgot what website was it again?
No. I paid. I have all the context. Don't worry.
I'll take your word for it then.
I think you can disable JavaScript on Chrome and then
disable it. Trying to remember what website it was. Yeah, I should have known this. Just a reference, guys. We're talking about Telegraph.
How much is the paywall?
The Telegraph.
Can we get in trouble for sharing? Well, not if we just speak it. We're not showing it.
No.
Dude, I'll sign up right now. It's got a free month.
I just think context matters because
post it in the document, Nate.
Honestly, and if you guys watched my video and you heard the whole part, right, or if you didn't, like the way it's said, the people of Hyrule thought a certain thing, or it seemed a certain way. That doesn't mean that is what happened. And I think that's if you read the quotes, he doesn't say that the Sheikah technology disappeared. He says the people believe it disappeared. That it seems that it disappeared. So,
which is a great cop out answer.
I think that makes it even sillier. Do they? Why would no one in the entire kingdom of Hyrule know that?
Wait, I think Andres had a little more. What's your
That's
theory?
not keeping it clean. That's why. You keep it clean.
Well,
what do you mean? Not
the reason,
necessarily.
So okay, that context matters because if this interview, if these words were said in a from a perspective of, oh, I don't want to spoil a game for readers, then I understand it more so, which is why I'm asking about context. Because maybe they don't want to say all the details of why, or that's maybe one perspective. But then the other, as I said, talked in my video, I still think you can read this and still interpret that the gloom played a role.
How so?
No, because I think
because it's a mystery as to why it didn't happen.
When you're playing the intro before you wake up.
I don't. Okay. Yeah, I don't see how the disappearance of something so prevalent in a gigantic kingdom would be a mystery.
That would be.
All right.
I don't know.
If something disappears and you don't know why, that's what a mystery is.
Okay,
that's a mystery.
I guess
that's literally what a mystery. If you don't know it, if something happens and you don't understand why, you don't have an answer for it. That's what a mystery is. That's the definition of a mystery. So all I'm getting at here is that the quote is saying what it's speaking for the perspective of the people of Hyrule. He's not saying what happened. He's talking about what the people of Hyrule think. So this is how they do it. They leave it all for room for interpretation, right? that all said, the reason Link and Zelda, the beginning of the game, the exposition for the game is them exploring underground Hyrule to figure out the mystery of the gloom. Gloom is causing issues in Hyrule. So we understand that as the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom.
One
The
thing
very
that doesn't
beginning
make
is
sense.
them.
One thing that doesn't make sense about the gloom being the reason that it destroyed the Sheikah technology is because it seems like the Sheikah technology did go, as he said in the interview, with the death of Calamity Ganon. And I don't
What
think the
about
gloom was instant.
10,000 years ago with the first Calamity? The divine beasts were still used, the guardians were still used, the ancient hero with the
So I'm going to
ancient
explain.
princess.
Calamity Ganon was just
we
sealed.
actually have a canon answer for that. So
He was
the
sealed.
reason-
He wasn't
no,
destroyed.
so
yet.
there is like actually a canon answer for
Okay.
why that the last Calamity attack was the last attack, because the in Breath of the Wild, that final battle, damage was caused to Hyrule Castle that
Okay.
caused a stir to the core root of it all, which is Gandalf Underground.
Okay.
That entire battle with that amalgamation of Guardian Beast parts, when they broke down into like that tomb area, that caused damage to Hyrule Castle, which led to
Okay.
the stirring of Ganondorf. This
It
is
also-
actually
One
in
more
the
thing.
Ganondorf's bio in Tears of the Kingdom. I did not know
Okay.
about this until like
Now-
2 days ago.
Okay.
Calamity.
So-
I mean, Ganon used the Guardians. It took advantage of the Sheikah technology. So why would it destroy it?
What I'm trying to
wanna
explain
mention-
is that
Oh.
the seal on Ganondorf started to fully break because of the final battle in Breath of the Wild. And at the end of Breath of
Okay.
the Wild, the very final scene, Zelda says that Varuta, the elephant, the divine beast, is not working. So they're already hinting at something going wrong with the Sheikah
So when they reach
technology
Zora's
at the end
domain,
of Breath of the Wild.
Varuta just vanishes.
Or it's obviously there's a gap there. We
Disappears,
don't know what
according to
happened.
Fujibayashi. It disappears.
No, that's not right. Disappears according to the people of Hyrule, according to Fujibayashi. He's not saying it disappeared. He's saying the people saw it disappear. So, or think that it disappears. You understand the distinction I'm trying to make here? The people of Hyrule think it disappears. That's what he's saying. He's not saying
And
it
that's
disappeared.
a long
He's saying the
article.
people of Hyrule
Andres, we
thinks
have
it
we have
disappeared.
the full context now. Nate put it in the document, and I think he wanted to comment
Okay.
on it too.
I did. I want to read it.
Yeah,
Well, I think Nate was
yeah, and
already
it's there to
doing it.
reference if you want to make videos and stuff as well. It's fine.
Okay.
But
'Cause-
yeah, it's not something I'm ever gonna show publicly because it's behind a paywall. But the basically there's two things. I saw a couple of comments in the chat. The context around this, there really isn't that much context to it. It's a completely separate point made in the piece. Like it basically talks about the whole interview. Basically talks about the creation of the game and why they were thinking certain ways, why they actually wanted to make a sequel. And this is one thing I saw a few people in the chat say, Tears of the Kingdom feels like the most forced sequel of all time. Well, if you read this interview, that's kind of ironic because they actually, all their ideas they felt needed to be in the same Hyrule. So for them, this was the exact opposite of forced. This was something that made sense to them. And that's what the whole interview is like, focusing heavily on how like they wanted to be in the same Hyrule. This was something that they chose because the ideas they had, and they do dive a little bit in towards the end on the point of not adding DLC and content and clarifying because they were probably asked about it. And it's just being like, hey, we're not going to create DLC this time, like reiterating that point they've already made, because everything we wanted to do development wise, we did. We were given the time to do it in this game. Basically, we're moving on to the next one. So, and that's something we've already heard technically before. They're just this is just like months later. They're still reclarifying the same point that hasn't changed. They're resetting we're not getting DLC. And basically the two little paragraphs they give about this is what they give. And to me, and this is what I've always felt about Zelda, and maybe it's just because I've been so close to covering it since 1998 at this point. It's that Nintendo and their directors and stuff, not only do they contradict themselves all the time, they kind of, I feel like, just make things up as they go. And that's because they don't care about continuity as much as the fans do. They care about this individual game. Is it the best possible game it could be to hit our vision? They didn't care that there was going to be plot holes between games. What happened to Cass? There's no explanation.
Yeah.
People just pretend the guy doesn't exist. Like there's a lot of these issues all throughout the game. And you know,
And to your
Nintendo would
point,
be like,
they've done that with Zelda from day one for 30 years.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying, that like they don't think this stuff is that important.
Yeah,
And what they love now is they realize people make all these videos and they speculate. They're like, oh, we leave that up to your imagination. like Andre, he's not saying this is what happened. He's saying that no one's explored it.
I like
the people.
it.
It's like
I like that they do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm much younger, but I don't remember there being that many massive.
Hey, how old are you?
Here, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
No,
Link to the Past was once a prequel to the first Zelda game.
Oh
Is it a
yeah,
prequel
yeah.
today?
That no, but
Listen,
like
people
when
are
you
arguing about the story and the connections for Zelda since time immemorial. Like it's
Yeah.
been always been.
Since
This.
Zelda 2 came out and it
remember
didn't
the
necessarily-
timeline theory
when
videos
Zelda
before the
2
official
came out and
timeline.
it didn't perfectly line up with what happened in Zelda 1, since then people have been debating like, why didn't this line up? This is literally Zelda 2. How does it not follow Zelda 1? Yeah,
Interesting.
Just quick, how
Yeah.
old are you?
I am 25.
All right.
So,
Yeah,
Dude,
so
that was a good age for me.
Yeah.
All right, youngin.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to Zelda,
Not my
I feel a
fiance
little
back
bit
then.
differently than
That's
a
a good
lot of
age.
other Zelda content creators. I see other Zelda content creators' opinions on this. I actually really like the story in Tears of the Kingdom. I thought
I love the story.
I thought it was fantastic. I think it was very emotional. There's a lot there if you choose to see it, if you choose to explore it. But I'm not going to pretend it's perfect. But also, I never had an expectation that it would be perfect. And if you,
It's
you
not
look
like
at
it's
the story-
Baldur's Gate 3. You know what I mean?
It's not like it's Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future.
Listen. I talked
I
about
had
this
to,
in my
I'm sorry, I
podcast
had
on
to.
Monday. What Tears of the Kingdom is, at its core, is an adventure game. What Tears of the Kingdom does better than any other game is adventure. That's what they focus on. It's not like story's there, fighting is there, but those aren't the most important. If you want combat, play Street Fighter, play Smash, play Dark Souls. Right? If you want story, play Baldur's Gate 3, play Final Fantasy 16. But if you want
It's not
adventure,
strictly adventure. It's creativity, too.
In this
that's
game in
not the point.
particular, especially. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the game we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You're talking
Am
about
I
Baldur's
right?
Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom?
Am I
Tears of the
right or am
Kingdom.
I right?
Tears of the Kingdom. He was saying it's also about creativity.
Oh, wait.
Sure. Yeah. You use your
This
creativity
particular one is definitely
to explore and interact with the world as you please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It's a tool. So
I
my main
feel
point
like-
simply is that I just don't look at. I'm not as angry about certain details because I didn't expect it to be the best story ever told. Like I would say that if, for example, we don't hold Mario games to the same standard in terms of story. Why? Because we don't
all the same story.
we play the
They
game
don't care about story.
Because they don't care about it. They've never
like
cared.
Mario
about it.
Galaxy 2 basically just rewrites the story of Galaxy 1. It's just like
Didn't
It's-
Miyamoto specifically say that he forced it was like Koizumi, he was like, don't write a story for Mario Galaxy, don't have a story for this game, and then he had to like push in the Rosalina storybook near the end or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. But Galaxy 2 has zero connection to like it's like
Mm.
there's like you have to do some serious mental gymnastics to understand a continuum.
That's a
between
good
Galaxy
comparison
1 and
because
2.
honestly, Tears of the Kingdom doesn't feel like a sequel to Breath of the Wild as much as it feels like an independent story in the exact same universe where there are like still some of the same characters there.
That's weird
don't feel
because
the same
the
way.
game itself
there is a little bit.
years
It's not
after Breath of
exact,
the
but I'm
Wild,
just saying it feels more like that.
Yeah,
than
I feel
a
just
continuous
like
story.
just to make it a more like the game is perfect. I think the game is perfect. It's like everything I ever wanted it to be, except for the story could have been better if they polished things up, made it just make a little more sense, with the
I
continuity.
agree.
Especially
There are
with it-
certain
like,
things they could have
Majora's
been done a little
Mask,
bit better.
Yeah,
I agree
Majora's
too, and
Mask,
I
for example,
want to
was
clarify.
in
I think at this point we're being nitpicky because you're right.
Yeah.
Like it's an amazing game.
Yeah.
Love the game. definitely one of my like favorite games of all time.
I think it is something to discuss
because there is
though.
definitely stuff like that.
I think it is something to discuss because I am just like ever since Breath of the Wild came out, not even when Breath of the Wild came out, maybe like approaching Tears of the Kingdom's release is the first time in my entire like again, I'm younger than you guys, but I've been playing Zelda for a while, and I've never heard anyone say
I love
Zelda's
South
never been
West.
about the story. Zelda's never been about the story until approaching the Tears of the Kingdom release. And I was like, no, Zelda's always been about the story for me. I mean, of course, it's gameplay focused, very gameplay focused, but I always pride Zelda on having
Of
a balance.
Of
Twilight
all
Princess,
of Miyamoto's creations,
Waker,
Zelda has
Skyward
the
Sword.
most story.
Twilight Princess,
Yeah.
Wind Waker, Skyward Sword. These games are some of the best Nintendo stories ever told, I think. And they make sense. They make sense with what is
That's
established
a very
in Ocarina
important
of Time.
distinction. Best Nintendo stories
Yeah.
ever told.
No, yeah, and I still think they're great stories. I think Skyward Sword's one of my favorite stories in games, just personally, because I love Skyward Sword. But like even Wind Waker, the story of like someone who's not even supposed to be the hero, but becomes the hero because he is like living up to the hero time's name. All that stuff. Like it makes sense with what's established in Ocarina of Time and all that. Even Skyward Sword, when you're building the Master Sword, you're like, oh, you're building the Master Sword with the like flames of the golden goddesses. It makes sense. Whereas like even Majora's Mask like kind of had a like different kind of situation because it's in a new world, it's in a new like alternate dimension. It's not necessarily connected to the Hyrule of Ocarina of Time, but Tears of the Kingdom was. So I was really looking forward to them saying like, oh, here's why the divine beasts aren't there. Here's what we did to like take down the divine beasts, or like here's what we did to do this. Here's where Cass is. Like when I went to the Shrine of Resurrection, I was like, oh, okay, nothing's here. The Yiga are here and all that. Someone will probably talk about it later on in the game because this is like the second day I was playing.
Part of the reason they made
and
the
then-
conscious decision not to answer any of those questions was because of all the hype and they knew this years in advance.
Yeah.
That all the hype the game would have going up to it. They wanted people that had never played Breath of the Wild, or those people that played Breath of the Wild and decided they hated it and didn't finish it. They wanted people that have no knowledge of that game to be able to play this game,
Yeah,
and not get confused.
I don't think a
I'll say
handful of NPC dialogue would have thrown off new players though.
You could argue you don't even need NPC dialogue.
There.
There's a lot of lore and history and story in Breath of the Wild that doesn't get credit because you have to read journals and diaries that are everywhere.
Yeah.
They could have
Stone
added
slabs.
it that way.
They
That's
could have
my
been
point.
like that, where for those that want to find it, you could discover it. But they didn't. And we still have journals and diaries and stuff with a bunch of lore and Tears again, but they did it again. But they
It's like
never explained in any of them.
They wanted to keep the lore
Yeah.
for anyone who has no experience.
Like I'll give you guys an example. Like Cass not being present, they don't say where Cass is, but Cass is mentioned in the game. What's his name? Penn mentions Cass as the regional bard, but
he is mentioned. Yeah.
No one is like newcomers to Tears of the Kingdom may not be like, oh, who's this Rito Bard? Who is it? Like, who is he?
That was a good way to like at least acknowledge it.
So his kids are in.
Yeah, his kids are there.
Yeah.
They're
Where the hell? Where is he?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
Here's what happened. This is why they don't tell you. Okay, the chasms come, and we got the depths coming in, and
he might
was
have died.
standing there, and he got hit by something that took him down to the depths and killed him. And they just don't want to talk about it because it's too gruesome.
It is possible he died.
It'll make the game rated M.
Well, they just had death in the last game, so it's not like they're adverse to doing death themes.
They had death in Tears of the Kingdom in the most
This
like
might be a video idea.
I don't
possible.
I don't think he necessarily died.
But
yeah,
he
I
have died.
I think he's somewhere.
They didn't want him in the game, so they just didn't put him in the game.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing with the Sheikah Tech. They didn't want the Sheikah Tech, so they didn't put it there.
No, exactly. I think it's exactly the same. Yeah.
I mean, so it's kind of like coming up with story reasons to explain design choices, right? I do want to go back to the quote because I was saying something and I think I was a little off, and I just want to kind of clarify, right? And I think
now you have the full context too.
Yeah, well, just going back to the quote again, because I was telling Nish quick one thing, and I think I was a little off. So I'll just read this part, right? They Fujibashi said they disappeared after the calamity was defeated. In parentheticals, they're sealed. So he is saying that disappeared, right? But I think what needs to be understood here is that disappeared, we don't know what that means, disappeared, right? So let me continue on. Just keep that in mind. All the people of Hyrule who also witnessed this, but there's no one who knows the mechanism or reason why they disappeared. It is considered a mystery. So the reason why I emphasize mechanism is because they don't know how it disappeared, right? They don't know if the gloom is what caused it to just be disintegrated, or if it evaporated into like that blue-like energy like it did in Breath of the Wild. Like, we don't know like why or how it disappeared necessarily. That's where the mystery is. And I just think it's interesting though, because just from a lore perspective, the Sheikah technology did present the option to kind of like disintegrate or dematerialize. Like Link does it all the time. And even alongside with the Sheikah Slate, so even Sheikah Tech can do it itself, applying so can the other things.
It's teleported to the sacred realm.
Sure, but like the monks, every time you would interact with one of the monks, they would dematerialize away. They would move on. So it's possible that the Sheikah technology, there was something that happened in Breath of the Wild that it was understood that the calamity is no more. And once it understood there was no longer a threat of the calamity Ganon, which is why it was built. It wasn't built for Ganondorf. It was built for the calamity Ganon. Just moved on, right? Like it's easier for us to understand when like spirits move on when their job is done, because that's an established trope, right? Like I don't know if I can spoil it, but at least characters in Breath of the Wild, once we knew their job was done, they moved on. Some of this happens in Tears of the Kingdom, but I don't want to say any more because of spoilers.
Yeah.
So the part of me that is always confused about this is, so he gives this explanation that, once the calamity was defeated, they just, they vanished or whatever. But they create he kind of says that, the people don't even question it. They're not really even curious about it. No one bothered to even
that's considered a mystery.
Look into it. It's considered a mystery. But throughout Tears of the Kingdom, everything that happened that led to Tears of the Kingdom is also a mystery, and they're busy exploring, trying to figure out. They're very curious. So how weren't they curious about that? And my thing is, how did they know the calamity was even gone? Since it's sort of inferred that shortly after he was defeated, this shit all went down, and it happens to look at how the calamity.
Well, actually, it's not. There's evidence to suggest it's been years, right? Because of the child.
But they've been exploring. The reason they were exploring the depths of the castle at the very beginning was because it had already happened.
No, so the reason they're exploring underground is because of the gloom. So they're going to explore why.
And the gloom was the signification of calamity. So why would they think calamity's gone? I'm saying he's contradicting himself.
It's not the same as malice. It is a different thing.
you triggered the fireworks.
But it's very similar. Like,
it is very similar, but gloom causes people to get sick. The malice didn't do that. It's different.
I mean, they didn't really touch the malice. We don't really know.
The malice
and it hurts us when we touch it.
Yeah, it hurt Link when he touched it.
It hurt, but it didn't
remove hearts.
There was no residual effects afterwards.
It's stronger. It's stronger. I just don't know.
I don't think people would be like,
the calamity's gone, and like one of the things that signified the calamity was here was this stuff.
A malice is just a metaphor for COVID, and
here we go.
Gloom is just a new strain. It's the variant. All right, so.
Yeah. Anyway, what I wanted to say,
that's an analogy.
Just my perspective, because
Why
I do
you
understand
think the costume with the hood that covers your face makes the gloom not take your hearts away? All right, sorry.
So we have Pura, right, and Robbie, like they are scientists. They
and Impa like knows Sheikah lore, and she knows a lot about the people.
There's and obviously we have the Zonai Survey Corps. Like there are clearly people who have an interest in mystery and discovery and figuring things out. So I guess by knowing this and hearing his explanation, it can maybe feel like a little bit of a disconnect. there's something to maybe be said with that. I do think though that I wouldn't be surprised if what actually happened, if we ever actually get any clarifications, what happens is that Purah is the one who notifies Zelda of this mystery of the Shiga technology, of this gloom stuff popping up, causing people to get sick, and this is what leads to Link and Zelda going underground to find out why.
So
That's not said.
I'm just busy over here trying to unsubscribe from the Telegram before they charge me.
From the article.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
I thought you were
Watch,
about to
they
say
don't
I'm
have a way to
busy
do
trying
it.
to unsubscribe.
By the
to
way,
Andre's
the first time they
I'll
charge
say
me is not what
no.
I'm worried about. They'll charge me $1 and I get 2 more months. But then after that, it's like $50. So like,
Oh my god.
yeah, we need to get off of this. Anyways, I am glad I have the rest of the article because there's some more stuff in there I can maybe reference in future videos or something. But
Cool.
yeah, I don't know. Like, my opinions haven't really been swayed one way or another. Like, Nintendo just makes shit up. They've been doing it for 30 years with Zelda, and they're going to keep doing it because they don't really care. They care about the game they created. Stop asking us questions about things we didn't address because we don't give a shit. We sold 20 million plus copies, and we're a Game of the Year contender, and we're good with that, and people seem to be really happy. So,
and we know we're not going to beat Baldur's Gate 3, but it's fine. We just don't want to answer your questions.
yeah, we're not going back down that rabbit hole.
I will also say,
save it for later this year. We'll have a big voting debate later this year.
We
already have the bet. So that's already bad.
I agree with you on everything you said. They just don't want to. They don't want to. They don't care, and they don't want to answer.
The only part that bothers me about the information, because I honestly I have no problem with what's being said here. I don't think it really impacts the lore negatively in any way, except for this one part where he says, "And it seems there's no one who has tried to explore the matter further," because that doesn't seem like something that Purah would allow. Purah would be like, "Nah."
Yeah.
That's
Purah would be interested. Robbie would be interested. Impo would be interested too.
But there is a word in there that leaves it up for debate because he says seems there is no one. So seems means, not necessarily, right? So Purah could be the exception. Now, I guess the consideration is he just saying this because he's just talking about it from like a macro perspective where if you just think about the masses, there isn't really a significant group that cares to find out more?
I have to say something about everything that you said on this. Is that I think let me just give you credit. Technically, everything you said is correct. Like everything you're saying, yes, could be inferred from what he said. But I also think that you are looking into it way too hard. I don't think this is something that can be analyzed because I agree with Nate. It's just something off the cuff.
So
I think
let me counter that.
A lot of his
this is bad.
Him
just
being
let me counter.
I think it's more of him pushing
Time out.
Time out. What's up?
What did I just get myself into? In order to cancel my subscription, you cannot do it through their website. You have to call their number during their business hours for an assistant to help me cancel my subscription. And of course, this is a UK website, so it's a long distance overseas phone call during hours that I'm not available. This is bullshit. So you know what I'm going to do to cancel Telegram? Let me tell you what I'm going to do.
Before you say anything, make a video about
my PayPal account.
Make a video about this, dude. Make a video about this. This is a great freaking topic.
So dumb.
No, make the video. This is a scam. This is like what Jim.
You can't offer a free subscription and then $1, and then I can't even unsubscribe without talking to a human.
Dude, that's
the only place on the planet I have to talk to a human.
Yeah. All right. I just want to, Jake. I want to respond to you before I lose the thought.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry. Go ahead.
So you're talking. I'm making these points about the language and how technically it's left for interpretation and there's wiggle room, right? And
wait. All right, Nate. Don't do that because they can send you into collections. They can still charge you every month, even though it's not charging you, but then send it to a debt collecting agency and it's going to F you over. You want to cancel it for real. But sorry, go ahead, Andres.
No, it's all right.
I just don't want them to get F'd over like that.
So, but all I wanted to get at, right, is that, I'm not even necessarily disagreeing with what you're saying, just for the record, right? I'm just saying there's two sides. So, on one side, if you're the analytical person, right? Because I think Nintendo is intentionally ambiguous because they want the Zelda theorists, so people who want to get into it, they want to give them that material to do so. But if you're not into that, then it's very simple, right? It is what it is. So my perspective is, if we analyze it the way it's being said, it's left up for interpretation. But at the same time, if you just think it's just kind of made up, which is definitely arguable, then it's not a big deal. You shouldn't care about the minor story details anyway. That's kind of my thought on it, right? Like, if you're someone who's analytical, it's done in a way where it's flexible, and you can kind of choose how you choose to perceive the story.
That's a good point, because that's how the entire franchise is. Leaves it up for interpretation.
Yes.
And like we were saying earlier, all the videos and the timelines and theories and whatever. I mean, the answer really fits right in with that. Like, you can analyze it as much as you want, or choose not to. So I agree with you. I agree with you.
It's meant for you to, because it's a legend, and by as it being a legend, inherently it's room for interpretation, right? Like, you go back and you check like Hyrule Historia, and it's when it talked about initially about the timeline, that when you read that book, it talks about how like this is just how we understand the timeline currently. More information may come to light down the road. Like, that's just how they do it. And as I said before, you can choose to interpret that as it's just a cop out. So they can just.
Can I also say something about this? I have a few things to say. First of all, when he says, "Oh, it seems like this," it seems that the people didn't realize or something like that, right? I feel like that's more of him just pushing it under the rug. It doesn't seem like, oh, I'm putting it up for interpretation. To me, it gives off the vibe that like he himself doesn't even know the answer to the question. What does he do? What are you doing?
Every time when he makes,
you guys are talking, and I'm waiting to wrap the show. So you guys do what you need to do.
Okay, I have a few quick things to say. I will say this. Again, I know I always bring this up, but I gotta bring up Xenoblade again.
I wanted to finish the point about Zelda. Because you were saying some stuff, and I wanted to.
It's relating to Zelda. Okay. What I was saying is, Zelda leaves things up for interpretation with its lore and stuff, but I don't think it gives you enough to go off of. Whereas Xenoblade does the same thing. You can make a lot of assumptions, like even after the base game of 3, before the Future Redeemed DLC, a lot of Xenoblade theorists were like making guesses and making concrete like theories about what the black fog meant, what the sword of the end was. A lot of these things that weren't answered in 3, but we were given more hints and more context as to what could be the answers to these, until Future Redeemed gave us the actual answers. Saying that it seems that this disappeared, and it seems that no one knows the answer to why this disappeared, isn't really giving us any hints to go off of for much at all. I don't know. That's just what I think.
That's totally okay if you feel that way. The only thing that I think you were referring to earlier that I kind of disagreed with is just suggesting that he doesn't know the answer.
Yeah.
I think that's an assumption with no real evidence, because we've seen interviews where they've told us, hey, we know we have an internal thought process on what this is, but we're not going to tell you. So I think Fujimoto, I mean, it may be the case that they just, I understand. The thing is, like, I'm not saying like you're in a minority, because I've seen a lot of people that just kind of think that they just don't know what the hell they're doing with the story. I don't feel that way. I think I'm not saying that it isn't like, I don't think they plan the story out as well as as they do for Xenoblade. Like that is clear, but I also think they handle things in a way that's intentionally ambiguous to leave things up for interpretation.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that
I just wish they gave us more hints to go off of.
I think you're right. They like have a discussion and come up with all like the basic answers to those questions, how things are linked, just because it probably helps with the process of creating everything else, so they know. But from the very moment of conception, not a lot of thought is put into it, and it's designed with the intent of never ever coming out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's even something they write down on paper and don't put it in any
So
official
here's something
file,
that's
and
interesting.
then just destroy it after the game's done.
Hold on. I want to look up the name of this voice actress real quick because that's relevant. Queens. Who? I actually spoke
Oh,
to
Jeremy
her.
Lee is Sonia. If you're wondering.
No, actually, you know, I was mistaken. Not Queen Sonia.
If it's Minoru, it's Heather
Minoru.
Gonzalez, I think.
Yes, her.
Yeah.
Heather
She's
Gonzalez.
Yukari in Persona 3, which is coming in February.
Right. So I was on Mike Odyssey's podcast a while back, and he brought on Heather Gonzalez, and I asked her, you know,
Oh.
what were the directions that you were given to voice this character, and I was curious because my perspective of Minoru is that she's kind of playing like a motherly like role, more so like an aunt, because I think Queen Sonia is more of like the mother like character,
Yeah.
but I kind of asked her about that, and they didn't tell her from what she told me, right? Because she is under NDA. But from what she told me, she wasn't directed in the sense of like, oh yeah, this is her aunt, pretend to be her aunt or something. But she was told to be kind of like, sort of like a role model, you know, a more mature female figure for her,
For
right?
Zelda?
And for Zelda, yeah.
Okay.
So what the reason I get to this, right, is because I do think that they do have a certain it's not like this is all cobbled together with no thinking behind it. There is. And they did want Queen Sonia and King Rauru and Minoru to have more of like a mentorship like role for Zelda. They did
By
want her to feel
mentorship
like,
and role model, do you also mean like maternal?
yeah. I mean, I think Queen Sonia is basically like it's just like a
I just
mother
wanted to
stand-in.
clarify. Okay.
Yeah, but Minoru is a sister of Rauru, so that's why for her I think it's almost more like an aunt kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the point is that she's supposed to be a mother figure,
Yeah.
you know, for Zelda. And while my point is that while they didn't say specifically mother figure to tell her how to act, they gave her certain descriptors that would fit under the kind of like a, you know, a you know, a mature female figure that's meant to be a mentor, right? Which would, you know, fall under something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Point being, yes, they do put thought into how the character dynamics work. They do have
Oh yeah,
certain
definitely. Yeah.
thoughts and about how the story should be handled.
Yeah. The memories in Tears of the Kingdom are like, I've said this in a few videos of mine. I think the memories in Tears of the Kingdom are directed, written, and acted leagues better than they were in Breath of the Wild. The whole like interactions and the relationships done in the Tears of the Kingdom memories far surpass the ones in Breath of the Wild. And even the Breath of the Wild cutscenes and memories are pretty good. But I think Tears of the Kingdom.
It's a good point you bring up. I actually, because there were moments in the Breath of the Wild flashbacks that I was like, oh, that's a little awkward here and there, but I still love them overall. I didn't experience any awkwardness with the cutscenes in Tears of the Kingdom, save for the imprisoning war stuff.
Like, how did you guys go about the memories?
Better.
Did you look them up to make sure you're doing the right order?
No,
I felt that it was
every time I went up to a
naturally.
Skyview tower, if I saw a memory, I would skydive to that geoglyph.
And also, when you do one of the first side quests where Impa takes you to the temple,
that's fun.
They show you the order in the temple.
You know what's funny?
Yep.
Is I went to the
know
temple after getting the last memory.
I didn't have the camera to take a picture of it.
You could
just write it down. You could take notes like the original.
No. So I just looked it up after.
I just thought it was tedious
after the last memory.
I figured they already told me, so what's the matter?
I got the last memory you can find before doing like the side quest. I got the last one you can find up to that point was the first one I found because it's right to the north of Hyrule Castle.
Yeah,
and
buddy.
I was like, and I didn't have the context, so I thought that took place right after Link and Zelda got separated.
One of the first scenes for me that I ran into was the one where Sonia was already dead.
And then when I figured out that was the last one, I pieced stuff together. I was kind of annoyed, but like that kind of proves that you could go completely the wrong order and still not have it ruined.
I kind of wish that I got to see all the scenes in order, but once I did the whole quest and I saw the one that they saved for when you did everything, I was like, no, I still felt greatly impacted, even though I kind of knew what was going to happen because it was very clearly foreshadowed. So I think it was still good. I think they could have done slightly better.
Yeah,
There are definitely, but
yeah.
overall, it's
I
still
will
vast
say
improvement.
one small
Good
continuity
point,
thing.
Aaron. You
Yeah.
have a screenshot function on your Switch, Nate. But all right, go ahead.
One small continuity thing which kind of annoyed me just a little with the memories was when Ganondorf when Ganondorf came to the castle, did his whole thing, and then he leaves, and then Rauru was like, yeah, you can go, Ganondorf, go, do whatever. And then Zelda's like, oh, Rauru, I don't know about this guy. His name gives me pause or something. And I'm like, Zelda, his name is Ganondorf. Do you not remember Calamity Ganon? Like, do you not like is that all you're gonna say to Rauru after meeting a man named Ganondorf in the past? That also kind of was like,
Yeah,
come on.
maybe Ganon is like John in Hyrule.
Yeah,
So like Ganondorf is like Jonathan. Ganon is, you know what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
it's like a common thing.
yeah. But then again, like him being the only Gerudo every 100 years, I'm like, who else? Like,
Well, the
What
Calamity
else?
Ganon wasn't a Gerudo. It was more of like a being, like a pig,
yeah.
right?
But I don't.
So you might
That
might not
brings
have
up
made
the
that.
whole other theory. Like, were there Gerudo after this Ganondorf we saw in Tears of the Kingdom? I don't think so, because I don't think that this is I don't think this Ganondorf predates Ocarina of Time Ganondorf. So I think after Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf, there were no Gerudo until maybe after Tears of the Kingdom. But I don't know. We saw. I don't know. I don't want to get into spoilers right now.
I think I just heard a
Spoiler.
bunch of things that I strongly disagree with, but it's fine. I pay for everyone has
Yeah.
opinions.
That's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sitting over here completely distracted because that firmware update 17.0 that dropped.
For what?
But did
Switch?
nothing.
Yeah, you see, did nothing publicly.
Right, of course. That's why it's an awful update.
It's an-
'Cause it didn't really do nothing. It did nothing for you.
Okay. Setting that aside, a bunch of things that changed on the back end actually have to do with the next Switch.
Oh,
So
Oh, okay. So that's-
nothing. Now, by the way, it's
nothing
to-
happened.
it's nothing to be like, oh my gosh, get crazy. Here's some cool features. It's just some things that they updated that are going to show certain things moving forward, such as obviously the entire operating system.
Yeah,
have
that's
a
what
question
everybody
for you.
said. But I don't even know if it's worth making
related
a
to
video
that.
on
I have
it.
a question related to that about something you tweeted.
But basically, the NSO app is one of the big ones that was updated to be the exact same app on both systems. So
What,
NSO
same-
confirm moving forward. Not that we didn't.
Okay,
already think it would.
maybe it is
Yeah.
more video worthy.
Yeah, I'm just digging into it now with people who actually know what the hell they're talking about. So I'm like, why am I doing this during the show? This is so dumb.
I don't know. I don't know why.
Nate,
Maybe.
you tweeted the other day the Pro Controller icon at the Mario Wonder demo.
Yeah,
That was
I think
nothing.
means nothing.
I'm pretty sure that's nothing.
That's
I mean, even the
nothing.
Switch logo is not correct technically in that art. It's weird.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's a very weird
Like why it just
artistic interpretation. Whoever they hide, it's just a very weird overall.
Got it.
Yeah.
I figured. Just wanted to check in.
Yeah, I
no,
will
it's not.
say though,
I
I do
speculated, but it's nothing.
I mean, how much in advance is a company going to start updating their firmware on the back end to prepare for another platform?
It's all connected because they're using the same SDK, the same software development kit for both. So that's basically there's just a bunch of updates on the back end that change terminology and change things.
The unique thing about the Switch, going to the Switch 2, is Nintendo really, I guess maybe with like the DS, 3DS kind of, not really, but they've never had a continuous ecosystem like the way Sony's had the PlayStation Network.
Yeah.
Right? All the consoles always been connected to that, going back so far. The eShop doesn't connect to the Wii U eShop. I mean, it's called the same thing, but it's really not the same thing.
Yeah,
They're
it's completely independent.
So this is the first time they're like, okay,
Yeah.
let's do what everyone else has done for years and just keep the same system going forward. So this is the first time.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Andre, it's like, how far in advance do you need to plan for that? I think typically you don't need to plan for it really, unless you're Nintendo and it's the first time
you've ever done it.
So
Yeah.
Then it kind of makes more sense that
I also think that like
out.
with that being primarily what this update is about is just updating things behind the scenes for the next thing. It's also sort of one of those, oh, well, this indicates the next thing is obviously coming.
Yeah.
Like you've been waiting for confirmation. Like, hey, Nintendo just sort of did it behind the scenes. It's coming. They're prepping. They're prepping for this next system. It's already being prepped this year. And I'm just don't know when it's coming, of course. There's no indication on when they'll obviously release the thing, but it is interesting that they're prepping the current operating system to on the Switch right now for the next system a little bit behind the scenes. It's just kind of interesting that they're doing that. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of similarities between the two systems. It makes sense
because they definitely need it to be a seamless transition.
Yeah, it's got to be seamless.
It makes sense that they would start doing this that way on the back end. They can
start
has
to be seamless. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to do some more research into it, but I was already had some stuff gathered for a video, so this will just add to a video I was already working on.
Do you think that this lends credence to backwards compatibility? They're implementing it this early because they want to test how the backwards compatibility works with digital titles and things like that?
I don't know. Hopefully.
But do you think it makes it more likely?
I think it was always likely that it was happening.
I agree. But do you think it makes it more likely now or the same? The same amount, like still the same likely as it was.
The same.
Okay.
I mean, it's interesting because if the inference here is that the NSO app is going to be the same between both platforms, because it makes sense for them not to have two separate NSO apps, but just one continuous one between platforms. Well, that means NSO is forwards compatible. That's a bunch of games. Then what else is forwards compatible?
Yeah, exactly. I guess that was a much better way of saying what I was trying to say. Yeah.
We had a $5 super chat just come in from J2 Blue Wonder. Who said, how much do you think it matters that the next gen system keeps the Switch branding?
Well, we already know how you feel about it.
Switch 2 is the only direction I feel there is. But I'm probably wrong because they never does the obvious.
Hey, Nate, do you remember that video you made last year about the Switch Forward? Do you remember that?
Wait, you
know how many rumors I've covered?
I remember.
You know how many rumors I've covered?
I know. No, I'm just asking you if you remember it.
Why would I remember
I watched that
one
video
rumor?
And I was like, I don't want the name Switch Forward, but I
don't want it either.
100% see them calling it Switch Forward.
I'm not even going to entertain it.
I'm going to clip that and play it on the podcast every week.
That I don't remember a rumor I covered when I covered.
I'll find it. It was sometime last year.
Saying I 100% can see them calling the new Switch the Switch Forward. Every time he says it has to be the Switch 2, I'm just going to play it.
Yeah,
I never says 100% going to be.
Name.
I never 100% said it's going to be.
It's
Switch
such a
forward.
bad
No,
Nintendo
you said
name.
It needs to be in order to be successful.
Switch 2.
Yeah, Switch 2.
Yes, Switch 2. Right.
It needs to be Switch 2, but
I think it's the thing that leads to the most
success. How bad
success.
Nintendo is at naming their systems, I can totally see them calling it Switch Forward.
Anyway, so the question, the Switch branding on its own, like how important is it that they keep that? Like PlayStation keeps PlayStation.
Right.
Xbox
It's like
keeps
the
Xbox.
question is,
it would be very forward thinking.
Nintendo keeps Nintendo. What?
The question isn't if they will, it's if it will be helpful. Right. I think that's an important distinction. I mean, it does matter. I mean that
I will say
a lot.
Nintendo is definitely their key thing because people don't call the PlayStation the Sony PlayStation. People don't call the Xbox the Microsoft Xbox.
Yeah.
Every freaking Switch video on YouTube, it's people call it Nintendo Switch in the title.
Well, that's due to search terminology. But like in person, nobody to ask me if I have a Nintendo Switch. They just say, "Where's your Switch?"
I hear us say Nintendo Switch all the time. We never say Sony PlayStation.
That's true. We reference it as Nintendo Switch. Yeah.
Oh my god! I'm convinced of one thing. I'm retiring.
Well, no, but you gotta remember, like Nintendo has put their name in the branding of their systems.
Right.
Like technically, when you see a PS5 logo, it just says PlayStation 5. It doesn't see Sony PlayStation 5. When you see Nintendo Switch logo, it says literally Nintendo Switch.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that's the only exception I'd say to that is like some of their handhelds. You don't say the Nintendo Game Boy.
Yeah,
You don't
that's
say
true.
the-
They don't say Nintendo Game Boy. Then
You
even
could say
Nintendo DDS,
but people
even
say
even
DS all the
Nintendo
time.
DS. I don't think it was in the logo, was it?
I'm not sure.
I'll have to look up the Nintendo
But
DS logo.
3DS for sure. Everyone for the most part, 90% of the time. Just
Oh, it
says
was in the
3DS.
logo. It was in the logo for DS.
Hmm.
Was it for 3DS? Let's see here. I don't remember because I never referenced it as that. Yeah, it was
Exactly,
in the 3DS. It was
exactly.
in the 3DS logo too. Yeah. It's interesting. Just because Nintendo has put their name so forward like that, but I honestly,
forward.
look, does the Switch branding matter? Yes, because it represents overall what the family of systems is, which is a portable hybrid that you could take with you and dock with your TV. And if that's what you're going to keep making moving forward, then I think it's really important you maintain that branding, because branding recognition is something that you can't really fully ever replace. And we've seen Nintendo try to replace their own branding several times and not really be able to do it, or use branding that they killed, Wii U, with a system that really wasn't the same sort of concept system. As an example, if they would have turned the Wii and their next system would have been more like motion control-y, more like even heading more towards the VR segment, but like heavy emphasis on motion controls. Yeah, another Wii name could make sense for that, because that's like a natural evolution of what Wii was doing, but that's not the direction they went. They went to traditional controllers with a screen, which is like not at all what Wii was. And again, that's just another problem with the Wii U branding. But it's interesting thinking about the importance of brand recognition. Like as an example, we just call things iPhones, but everyone knows they're Apple. Everyone knows it's Apple.
Right.
And the iPhone itself or the iPad or whatever, like these are household brands that when you're making similar samey products, you're going to keep using that brand. I think that's the same for Switch. Switch's branding relevance hasn't gone anywhere. Software's still selling like crazy. Even like this long into it, the system's still selling pretty well considering how long it's been out.
My only thing that
So-
could make Nintendo nervous about that is that's exactly what they felt about the Wii. And there are so many things that are different than that.
I think Shintaro Furukawa is, at least I hope he is. We're about to find out. I think he's a very shrewd businessman. I think because he brought it up himself, the cliff Nintendo always falls off of. He's been at Nintendo long enough as a numbers guy to see the cliff happen like several times under Iwata. And he said, that's my number one goal, is to not let that happen. And I think he's examined a lot of the situations on, I'm assuming outside of Nintendo. Like, how did other successful tech products move on to their next product and maintain
I just want
momentum?
to acknowledge something we see in the chat every time this topic comes up is like people are like, oh, what about the Super Nintendo Switch or Super Switch? The reason I hate that is because it just sounds like a Switch Pro. It doesn't necessarily distinguish itself as a new system, which is your entire point, which is why they have to go with Switch 2, because it makes it clear that it is a new system. Especially a company with Nintendo that does
it makes it clear that it's the next Switch. And you could argue,
Super Switch just
new
sounds like
Nintendo.
a
Okay,
better
drop
Switch.
that new shit. Get that new
Especially
shit.
to the average
Switch
consumer.
forward. I'm telling you, they're gonna call it Switch forward.
Oh, here we go. That's why you brought up the rumor, because you're sold on that being the name, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
If it is the real name, I will be
The
very
Switch
upset. But I will
forward is
laugh.
backwards compatible.
Well, I mean, I absolutely think that the Switch branding is important because let's be serious for a moment, okay? The strongest branding Nintendo probably ever had was the DS, right?
Mhm.
155, 100, whatever. Second best-selling video game console of all time. Very strong branding. The problem they had is that felt cool at the time because of the touchscreen, but by the time the 3DS came out, we all had touchscreens in our pocket. We were walking around with them. So the novelty of needing two screens and one being a touch and one not being a touch really wasn't that big of a deal, and that sort of wore off. The novelty of Switch hasn't worn off. We're 7-8 years in.
I would
other
argue
companies are just copying them.
even a novelty. It's not even a novelty.
It's a convenience.
It's essential.
Oh, at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and other companies are copying it. Sony, it might not only be doing like the little streaming tablet thing, but look at all these gaming PCs that you can dock and use with monitors and stuff. To me, this is one of those things where Nintendo hit on something the market was ready for and didn't really have anything serving it. Nintendo proved that market exists, and now they sort of own it. And it would be dumb to abandon the branding that owns that market and try to have a completely different branding that people don't associate with that market. Right now, Switch is the biggest brand in hybrid handheld systems. It's the biggest brand.
To back up your point even more, Nate, is like the problem is you're right. So Switch is the brand, and if you go with anything other than 2, it could come across as just the pro version of a Switch.
Yeah.
Like Switch,
like,
Ultra,
Switch
Super
4K.
Switch,
Okay, well
Switch
that's
64.
doesn't sound like a new
all
one.
of that
Yeah.
sounds like an upgraded version of the Switch. It doesn't sound like a new console.
Yeah. Switch 2
The
is like,
only way
oh
to
dude, I
keep
got to get that
Switch-
new Switch.
The only way to keep switching the branding and make it clear to not to us, not to the people that play video games all the time, but to the average consumer, that and that is very important to Nintendo, because so many people that don't play video games bought a Switch to play Animal Crossing or whatever, or to play Mario Kart with their friends because they miss playing Nintendo. To make it clear that this is a brand new next-gen console is to add 2. That's the only thing you can add to it. Anything else?
I just want to note something. So the thumbs up is appropriate here because for the first time in podcast history, not only did me and Jake agree on something, me and Andres agreed on something earlier as well. This is crazy. Now it's just me and Nishquick got to get on the same page, and then we got the whole quadtuplet here going on. We had another.
I love
like
Nishquick.
Xenoblade?
I just want to say that.
Is Xenoblade the best
I
RPG
just want
series
to say I
available
love
for Nintendo?
Nishquick.
Is
Oh
Xenoblade
wait,
the best
you
RPG?
guys
Wait.
both said something to me
Whoa,
at the
whoa,
same
whoa,
time.
whoa.
Sorry.
Well, I'm just
All
trying
I-
to get. I'm just
all
trying
I
to
was-
make dreams happen. Nate, do you agree that Xenoblade is
Let
the
him
best
go.
RPG series Nintendo has?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
This was a question for Nate. I already know what your answer is.
we know you. You and Xenoblade. It's like
Two
birds of the
peas in
same
a
feather
pod.
flock together.
I want to know your
Like,
answer.
here's the
Nate.
thing, they don't. What other RPGs do they even have active at the
Fire
moment?
Emblem is
Pokemon.
there? Fire Emblem, Pokemon. are the
Pokemon?
other ones. Yeah.
Okay, so what was the question again?
Is Xenoblade the best RPG series Nintendo
The
has?
best RPG series they have.
I mean, do we count Paper Mario?
Yeah, I guess you
Mario
could.
and Luigi?
Well, you're saying active. Paper Mario is now more active than it was.
Yeah, Paper
I mean,
Mario.
Paper Mario's active.
Paper Mario's active. Fire Emblem, which
Advance
is
Wars
a
you can even
tactical
throw in
RPG,
there.
but it is an RPG. And then obviously we have Xenoblade.
Fire Emblem,
I said Fire Emblem already.
Pokemon.
So they only have like 3 or 4 of them. And Pokemon, obviously. I mean, Pokemon's probably the most important, but that wasn't the question. The question was which one's the best.
Quality gaming experience.
Oh, I'm excited for this answer.
I'm surprised you're even like debating it.
You
Because
have
I
a
like-
Xenoblade super fan in the
He's a
podcast.
Xenoblade hater.
because I like Fire Emblem better than Xenoblade.
Hey, Fire Emblem's pretty good.
But here's the thing.
yeah.
It's a tactical RPG, and I don't really consider it the same thing as Xenoblade, even though they're both
Yeah.
RPGs.
Right, like
Like,
Xenoblade's a better.
that's a hard. Like, I like Fire
Yeah.
Emblem more. I enjoy. Let me put it this way: I enjoy Fire Emblem because I like tactical RPGs way
makes
more than
sense, yeah.
traditional JRPGs. Like, I
Yeah.
love them way more than that. So, like, I really love Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Um,
Xenoblade
but
combat is not very approachable. I will say. I will give
Xenoblade
you
is.
that.
Let me just say, I beat Xenoblade Chronicles X. I haven't beat Xenoblade 1, 2, or 3.
Xenoblade Combat is a mobile game.
And the thing is, and the thing is, I'll tell you why. One thing I've noticed, because I loved RPGs growing up and JRPGs. Oh, I loved all this stuff growing up. For me personally, as I've gotten older, the systems are too complicated now.
Yeah.
It's too complicated now. I need
Play
things
on
got to be
easy mode.
simplified. They got to be, but I might want to play on easy mode.
Yeah.
That's not the way the game was intended. Like
Yeah.
the systems are just overly complicated now for me
That's
to understand what
interesting.
the hell
You
I'm
say
doing.
you completed X then. X
Yeah, I
is
know.
easily the most complicated in the
X
whole
is a different time
series.
in my life.
Yeah,
X is a different
okay.
time in my life. So
Yeah.
when 1 came out, I was in college and I just picked it up and didn't really play a lot
Yeah.
of video games. But when X came out, that was heyday of Wii U and Zelda
Yeah.
Informer, and I literally was playing Wii U like 20
Yeah,
hours a day.
Xenoblade
It
X,
was insane.
in my opinion, is the best Xenoblade game. It's the best exclusive
But here's the
Wii
thing.
game.
Here's the thing.
Oh
when
yeah,
I go back,
100%, yeah.
when I go back and play
Xenoblade 1?
Xenoblade X today, I can't play it for more than like an
Yeah.
hour because
I always need to
My
like refer
favorite
to wikis and ask my
Nintendo
friends.
bestiality-based video game is Xenoblade 1.
Oh, here we
Yeah.
go. So anyway, so for me, like Fire Emblem's the answer technically to your
There's all
question,
kinds of stuff going on there.
but like, look, Xenoblade's more critically acclaimed, right? Like the general populace is going to say it's Xenoblade. Clearly,
I will, at least learn more about you, even though I couldn't get us.
I
to
will
agree,
say,
on
this is
well,
one thing
Fire
I
Emblem's
wanted
just
to.
simpler when it comes
Yeah.
to their mechanics and
Yeah,
understanding.
I
it.
will agree. Fire Emblem is more approachable gameplay wise than Xenoblade is, but I
Yeah.
will say this: Xenoblade is easily the best Nintendo has going for its story wise for any of their franchises right now. More than Zelda, more than Fire Emblem, more than like Metroid or anything. Xenoblade is
obviously
the best,
haven't
yeah.
played F-Zero 99.
Clearly, haven't played
F-Zero
the second-
99, the story of how Andres
Detective Pikachu
Restart
Returns,
gets into
I'm just
first
throwing
place.
it out there.
Xenoblade has an entire race of people where if you're the king, it's required that you have children with at least one other species.
Oh my gosh. All right. So Samuel talks about games uses member chat to get in. Switch 2 release timing and announced timing predictions. He predicts March reveal for a September release. And it won't be called Switch 2, sadly. You know what? I should have even brought this one up. You
Switch
just
forward.
anyways. Let's get to what the actual thing was though. Switch 2 release timing and announced timing. So prediction. When is it coming out? When are they announcing it?
It's coming out tomorrow. It's gonna be revealed next month.
I really hope they say something substantial by March, because the whole Nate the Hate March thing. I would like if we wait. I wanted to ask you guys this. Do you guys still believe the November thing with the Amiibo November thing? You guys still?
I never
There
believed it.
Here's the thing. It's just speculation based on prior announcements of things.
Yeah.
Technically, we're not going to know. We'll know in the next month. Like that's when we'll know.
It's
We'll
one
know
of those
in the-
things
in the
where
next
I
month.
never believed it. I talk about
Something
it
either
because
happens
Yeah.
or it doesn't. Like there's no in
Yeah.
between.
but we don't know, right? So that's
Yeah.
why we talk about
We'll
it. 'cause
find out
There's
in the next
evidence. There's supporting evidence.
There's
to suggest
strong
something's gonna happen.
speculative evidence that something is going to be announced. It doesn't have to be a new platform.
Yeah.
But something's going to be announced.
Yeah,
There's
because
a lot of
it
evidence.
coincides with the
announcing,
Nintendo
their
Direct.
I've
Lego
been very
series.
vocal on here that I've thought it would be March, but I got to admit, with everything that's come out, I feel like it has to. The actual release is probably September.
Okay. Look,
Which
I think
sucks.
April announcement, launching in August.
Yeah, I'd say it's right around there, probably.
That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. However, it could be sooner. We have these SDK updates from the dang recent update. The Switch has to do with the next system. We got obviously dev units are out there like crazy. They're demoing it to a bunch of developers.
What I do
I
think,
got
though,
Doc
the
Trade just
one
dug up a profile of a
positive
guy who no
is
longer works at Nintendo. That
it will be fully
was
fleshed
working on
out
it.
by the time it does launch, unlike the PS5 and Xbox were. It'll be ready to go. I'm sure they'll have a great launch lineup.
Yep, there won't be
Um,
any missing features like Bluetooth
Right.
headphones at launch that they won't add
Right.
until 5 years in.
When it was crazy.
Exactly.
When I was crazy a year from now,
It's going to be in our hands probably. It's October.
even if it's not in our hands a year from now,
Well, no.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be about to come out. Like
Yeah,
we're gonna be like,
it-
oh my god, I'm lining up tomorrow night, right?
Yeah,
Like,
we're literally going to be doing the podcast from our phones waiting in line. Oh man. Yeah, I
How
don't
big is the Nintendo Prime podcast going to be the Wednesday after they announce Switch 2?
I might not be very big because the Wednesday after it's announced. Yeah, everyone's gonna that's all anyone's gonna want to talk about once it's announced.
Yeah,
Like,
that's all of
Yeah.
what the entirety of gaming Twitter is going to be.
as I say,
talking
my
about.
biggest live stream will probably be when I stream me at the midnight launch.
Yeah.
That'll probably be my biggest live stream ever. Because when I did it for PS5 and for Xbox, dude, we had like 1,600 people watching. And
Yeah.
that's not even Nintendo. That wasn't even Nintendo systems. So when it's
I'm
a
taking
Nintendo
notes.
system,
I'm taking notes. I've never.
and I do it for my
live-streamed
phone. I literally have a
Yeah.
second phone specifically just to stream off it when I'm waiting in line.
Yeah,
Although I make my setup more
I
complicated?
don't even want
know.
to think about how many viewers I'm going to have on that live stream.
10
honestly.
billion.
Yeah.
Oh,
the launch
for
stream,
you, it's gonna
and
be a lot.
Yeah, and like
I'll-
Jake will be like,
yeah.
dude, pre-order live streams.
yeah.
That's
You're
what I
gonna
mean.
be helping
Yeah,
everyone.
dude,
And on-
Jake's
and on
dude.
launch
He might
day,
have like
yeah.
40K, something
I
crazy.
wanted to ask you, Jake, because like a lot
Remember
of my
those
friends
PS5 days?
have
So,
been telling me like, oh man, it's gonna be so hard to get a Switch 2. It's gonna be so hard. How difficult do you think it's going to be to get a Switch 2 versus how it was for PS5 and Series X?
I think it will be easier,
Yeah.
but I think that recency bias will make people be like, it's just as hard. Because it
Okay.
is, most people won't get it.
I'll say this: they will have
Okay.
pre-orders available in store, so it's automatically easier.
Yeah.
Because you can just go to your local store. You don't have to fight with people online if you don't want to.
Also, that was during a pandemic with chip shortages, which are
Exactly. It's not going
yeah.
to be, it's going to be easier.
Yeah, like it's not gonna be like, oh, you can't pre-order a PlayStation 5 in store. It's
But
all online.
For context of this, I have people saying like the Spider-Man PS5 plates were way harder than the PS5 ever was. And they're the hardest thing to get in a very long time. But when
They're
the
not nearly
PS5
as hard as the
came
PS5
out,
was.
the Spider-Man plates are not as hard to get, and the PS5 is being scalped for like over 1,000. The plates are being scalped for like 200. So that shows in itself. And
they've had
people are
restocks of the
people are
plates, too.
acting like it's harder than the PS5 ever was,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
No.
you guys just have
It's
recency
recency
bias.
bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
They
what's
don't
gonna happen with
remember.
Switch 2. It's going to be way easier than that launch, but the people that don't
Dude,
get
let's
it,
put
are
it
gonna
this
see
way:
that.
I'll have my hands on multiple pre-orders, which will already tell me it's easier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Like,
will
it's
say that we do have
giveaways.
reports that Nintendo wants to really build up a lot, right? Like
Stock.
they
And if they do it in
Yeah.
September, they will.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. That was one of the reports that Nintendo wants to have more stock at launch than they've ever had before. What's that gonna do? I don't know. It's just gonna put more Switches in the market.
They'll
More
sell them
people-
all.
more
Yeah.
people playing
As
it
long as
for
they do
it.
in-store pre-orders, I don't worry about anything. Because not just because I live in a smaller town, so it's easier to like try to be one of the first people to get pre-orders in. It's just because fighting with millions online is harder than fighting with like 100 people that want to pre-order from the same store. Like you could literally just go camp out and get your pre-order in if you want. And you just know you guarantee it. Versus like online where you hope you're gonna go through checkout and yeah. And I know there's all the tips. Jake went through all the tips of the PS5 and all that stuff. Yeah, all that stuff. There's all those tips to get through checkout and get through this and that. But you're competing with bots. You're not competing with bots at an in-person store.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's as long as they do that, I don't really care. I also a key thing to remember, and I don't know if they're going to do it this time. They did this with Switch in my area. Walmart, 24-hour Walmarts. So they take pre-orders, but they always have extra consoles on top at launch. They never pre-order out every system they're going to get. So if you're willing to go wait at the 24-hour Walmart, you can literally walk into midnight and get it. I mean, actually,
Yeah,
they'll probably
that was
be
the
waiting in the
case with
electronics section.
PS5 and Series X as well, I think, right?
And especially the Halo Edition Series X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was lines like wrapped around Best Buys on that release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. So
That was crazy.
So we'll see. Obviously, the hype will go crazy whenever they decide to announce this thing. Should be announced within the first 6 months of next year. You would figure. So
Yeah.
it's no later than June if it's going to be a holiday release. So should be quite crazy. We have no idea when it's going to come. It's going to be absolutely nuts when it does. And my
I'm gonna have a
gosh,
switch back when that happens.
it'll be really nice. And hopefully I no longer have a keg when that happens. Anyways, well, that's going to do it for the Nintendo Prime podcast this week, episode 41. If you guys want to check out the podcast, anywhere podcasts are heard, we have the audio version that goes up on pretty much everything. I'd say Google Podcasts, but they closed it, so I'm sorry. But it's everywhere else. But before we sign out here, let's go around the room and let people know what you got going on, where they can find you. Jake with the cake. I believe you have something happening here soon that people might want to go watch.
Oh yeah.
Semi-soon.
You can find me, Jake Randall, on YouTube or Twitter /X. And I'm gonna be doing a couple live streams. I think I'm gonna be doing I'm considering doing a playthrough of Spider-Man Miles Morales on Saturday, but the big one is next Saturday, the 21st. I'm streaming for 12 hours straight to do a full playthrough of The Quarry, which is a horror game for Halloween. It's a choose your own adventure game where you have choices, and every choice will be a poll in the chat where the chat chooses what happens. So it's basically we're playing through it together. Majority
Nice.
rules, whatever you guys say, even if you tell me the wrong stuff, whatever people vote, that's what we're gonna do. And I've never played the game before, so
That's a good idea. That's the same devs as Until Dawn, right? I think so.
yes. And I did the
Yes.
same thing with Until
Oh,
Dawn
that's
a couple years ago, and it was really fun. And I wanted to do it last year, and I didn't. So now we're doing it.
this year,
Oh,
baby.
and one more thing about that is every hour during the 12 hours on the hour, I'm giving away a brand new PS5 game.
Oh, wow.
So 3 copies of The Quarry are going to be included, a bunch of other stuff. So it's going to be
Dude, he's pulling his own mini Prime Gaming Fest over there. Go watch. Have some
Exactly.
fun.
Exactly.
Have some fun.
I'm sure I'll
Except you
maybe
actually get your
hop in for a
prizes.
second, Nate.
I literally just lambasted myself saying, hey, except you actually get your prizes. 'Cause, I'm still shipping stuff from last year, so it's a problem over here. Nish Quick Pops, what you got going on? Where can they find you, Mr. Xenoblade?
Yeah, I'm Nish Quick Pops, aka Mr. Xenoblade. You can find me on YouTube at Nish Quick Pops and Twitter/X and Instagram at Nish Quick Pops. Also TikTok. I've been seeing some success with YouTube Shorts and short form content on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. But yeah, I talk
Oh, my
Nintendo and
God, with the
JRPGs.
thirst traps on Instagram over here. Hello?
Yeah,
Definitely check out his Instagram, everybody.
yeah, but yeah, Nintendo and JRPGs. I haven't talked much about Zelda or Nintendo in a while. I've been on the JRPG binge. I talked about like games like Tales of Arise and some other games I don't even. Oh, I did a very like serious and like very kind of. I made a Pokemon video basically, and I was not beating around the bush. I was saying like Game Freak needs to change. I'm very upset with Scarlet and
fucking
Violet.
sucks.
Yeah, and
Finally, something I appreciate.
It actually did pretty
Oh,
good. So
you guys agree on something.
yeah,
There you go, trifecta.
Yeah.
We all agreed with you at
Pokemon
least on one
sucks.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you guys are
I don't
upset
agree with
about
that.
Pokemon, you guys should check out that video
It's
on my
just a fist
channel.
bump.
And yeah,
There's nothing else.
yeah,
Double fist pump.
yeah.
This is what
Fist
the
bump
high end
like
do
this.
with other
We'll
species.
do it like that. Yeah.
Just
but
don't
yeah,
open your
Two
mouth.
dragons.
I was about to yawn for a second. I'm like, all right, we better back off a little bit. Gotta keep it clean.
I will say this:
right, let's not
if you
keep it
guys
clean.
are excited for Persona 3 Reload, check out my channel because I'll be talking about that game quite a bit near the end of this year and approaching February. So yeah.
I love Persona.
Oh yes, I'm very very excited for Reload, especially since this is the first time I'm playing Persona 3. I've never played Vanilla, Fez, or Portable, so this is my first Persona 3 experience.
The first
They
time.
cut the Fez content, right? It's not in it.
They cut out the answer and they cut out FemC. That's all they took out. Basically,
Okay.
most of everything else is in the game. All the quality of life stuff from Fez, like Igus's social link, and then the part-time job stuff and all that stuff from Fez.
Okay.
Oh, sorry,
that's not that
Portable is
bad.
in there. Only the female
Legit.
protagonist and the answer epilogue are not in it.
Got
which
it. Okay.
I think it's fine because
Woo!
yeah, I mean
That's a
they're
lot better
adding
than last.
so much
Yeah.
new stuff into this, and it looks amazing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
On just restart, we got going on. Where can they find you?
You can find me at Andres Restart. That is the truth. That's pretty much all I got to say. I talk about Nintendo every day, so check me out.
Wow, you sound
was a
so
wrap.
excited about your channel, man. You're so hyped for what he
Nintendo.
does for a living. It's so cool. You know what? I'm going to be more hyped. You should check out the Andres Restart podcast every Monday at 7 p.m. Central on his channel. It is a hoot, and oftentimes he's talking about exactly what we're going to talk about on this show just a few days earlier with his friend Brandon, and who knows, other special guests that he sometimes drags into the boat. Oh, and go watch his last 3 videos because they're all bangers, and they should all
His
have like
video on
30,000
Zelda
views.
remakes
Wait,
is really
so-
good. You guys should check that out.
Banger? I hardly know
Bangers.
her.
And you know what? You're gonna get up right up close and personal, aren't you, with the trifecta? Anyway,
All right.
Thanks, guys.
all right. Well, that's gonna do it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll be back same time next week.
Later.
But it's a special episode.
Oh
because,
yes.
we got Andres Restart. We got Jake Randall. Should be Eric Moore back, assuming he's doing better. We'll hopefully he's doing better. We also have RGT85 coming on that apparently I pulled him in, but you know what?
Can
the
you
biggest
please
pull
make
of the
his
day.
name Nintendo YouTuber and change it every time he tries to change it back.
That would be hilarious.
RGT is the best.
He'd probably find that funny.
And
Anyways,
Review Tech. You
and
said
then we
that,
have
right?
Review Tech USA coming on. Yep, as well. So we got a 6-pack next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I actually won't have to talk that much. I'll just get to sit back and laugh and actually do what I'm supposed to do as host. Drive the conversation, but not be the conversation. I'm not very good at being the conversation. I'm kind of a dick. It's all right. All right, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Baldur's Gate Game of the Year.